Shall we start with the mental health check-in, guys? We have lots of time today. I can also start, as always, if you guys don't want to start or don't feel comfortable starting today. Yes, what's going on, Tanda? Do you want to start with the mental health check-in today? You haven't participated in a while. Oh, it's just sort of, it's like a check-in opportunity for you, essentially. So it's just, you can share how you have been doing, maybe get emotional support or like guidance on any issue or anything, or just have someone to listen to you. You don't have to if you don't want to. It's just an opportunity. Why do you not have a therapist or psychiatrist anymore? Milan is over and I'm kind of sad and kind of not. Always gives me a lot to think about. Tomorrow starts my job training thing and just switched the schedule from one. I have to reschedule everything. Oh, that's annoying. Still stiff sometimes. What does the chiropractor or physio say? Like, do they think going back to the training is a good idea? More hair loss, more hair growth. There are places where I don't want it. You have maybe a girlfriend now. What do you mean, maybe a girlfriend? But I'm glad to hear this. Ah, okay. So might turn into a girlfriend situation. They say I have to train the muscle because it's not a pain thing anymore, but the muscle just kind of degenerated in that sense. Just tensed up and doesn't come loose anymore. Yeah, in the beginning it can like really help to like keep going to the physio or chiropractor for them to like help you relax again. But definitely like train the muscle is like not the training you have been able to do before, right? Like you need to start slower. I hope they also told you that. Because it's like really easy to overstrain the muscle, especially at the beginning, because all your other muscles are able to do more and then you sort of like overtrain it like easier, especially if it's like the back. Because the back is not like just giving out. But I don't give my indication. What is indication? You might have broken a rib. Why have you broken a rib? Or might have broken a rib. It's like indication, like the like what is it specifically? Like what does it mean? Is it like the clearance that your doctor says like okay, like you can start with the hormones? Or is it more like this whole process of about getting this approved. Ah, okay. But you don't get it, why? Like, especially if you don't have a therapist anymore. Or a psychiatrist. I had to fish something out of my tea. Because you're not anymore therapist, she doesn't want to do it. Did she give like a good reason, or like what, like why? She, like, did she really just say no? Because usually therapists are like really like, you know. She just said like, I don't feel comfortable giving you the indication, or. I come like too inexperienced. Okay. Well, I guess that's sort of fair, but also like, did you not like go to that therapist for an indication? Well, inexperience can still mean just like inexperience with trans people, right? Okay. So maybe that's why. Maybe she like you're the first like trans person coming her way, and she's like, I don't really know what to do. I don't know. Oof. Okay. Get well soon with the rib, I hope. I still go twice a week, but they say it's probably just this month. After that, I have to search for a special back muscle training routine. I mean, at least it's still this month. Maybe they can give you like a back muscle training routine or something. At least that's what I hope now, that they give you some sort of like guidance, sort of like, oh, do like these and these exercises for like a couple more weeks and it should be fine or something. Why is your mental health getting worse? What do you think? Jealous at women. This is the wrong time to tell me you're jealous of me. I'm literally on my period right now. I'm so fed up, genuinely. But to me, I mean, I don't know, like, considering I'm autistic, I also don't really, I don't have that much of a connection to my body anyway. So I sort of see it as more like a third person perspective. Now, I think just from that third person perspective, being a woman sucks. Because it's like, you have to take care the entire time around men. And it's just really, really annoying. And it takes effort, and you're supposed to like look pretty and stuff like this. You're socially sort of like expected to have long hair and fit certain beauty standards, and if you don't fit these beauty standards, you will be treated differently. And you notice this around men. Like, if they don't think you're attractive or anything, you will be treated differently. And it's, I don't know. Yeah, that's true. It's just, I mean, if you're trans, it's also like a different calculation, right? Because it's usually connected to some type of like body dysmorphia, right? Um, which to me, it's just like really inconvenient to be a woman. Like, if I could pee standing, that would be like convenient, like more convenient than have to like sit somewhere to pee and stuff like this. Like, this is sort of the perspective, like I'm coming from this like really sort of like practical third person view of like, if I would be a man, I wouldn't have issues with sexism, my intelligence wouldn't be a threat to people, and I could just be standing. I wouldn't have to worry as much about being raped and stuff like this if I go out alone. um yeah, I probably would be taken more seriously in front of doctors. That's also annoying. Because they literally, the amount of times I've been asked, like, oh, is it just because of your period? Maybe it's just hormones. And then, like, nothing, like, no hormonal test or anything being taken to, like, fix any hormonal issues, but just being like, well, yikes, sucks, I guess. It's really annoying. Yeah, but you can do it out of necessity, you know? Like, if I'm, like, every time I take the train somewhere and you have these, like, really shitty train toilets, it's just like, I wish I could just pee standing. Because, like, being in that train and having to, like, hover while the train is, like, sort of, like, moving is not easy. It takes a lot of strength, and you need to hold on to something, which is also disgusting. Yeah. And then also that, like, getting an orgasm is harder. Like, it's annoying. It's just annoying. And then, I don't know, yeah, period. Just annoying. Not only period, the fact that in like later on in our lives, women like lack hormones they need to like be to essentially be healthy, to function properly. Um, because like men like run out less from hormones, right? Like they it's like sort of like a gradual decrease, but it's sort of like fine-ish. And for women, it's like when they hit their like menopause, then it's like a huge shift. It and it can lead to so many issues. It's so annoying. Like the mom of Zach, probably because of this, has always like it's like sweating in 1 second and then like freezing in the next second. Like she can't like she has sleep issues the entire time. She has like really shallow sleep. I think she also has like emotional irregularities, and because of that sort of. But they can also like you don't even really like with these sort of things you don't even really know if it's because of the hormones or because of the pain and like sleep insufficiency and stuff like this. Because for example, like I'm now on my period and I notice how I'm like more irritated, but I also have pain the entire time, which sort of explains why like everybody is irritated if they have like serious pain the entire time. So it's like I don't even know if I'm irritated because of different hormone levels or if I'm irritated because I'm in pain the entire time. And also just like iron deficiency and this type of stuff. It's not really annoying. Yeah. No, I don't want to like convince you or anything, of course. Um, I'm just saying, like when you come to me with like, oh, I'm so jealous of being a woman, I'm like, of what? Please tell me. I do realize that like looking, I guess like feeling confident in yourself and feeling like you look good is like a huge factor. And that's the factor I meant in the beginning with like that being trans and being in the wrong body is usually connected to some type of like body dysmorphia, and I think it's like a huge impact on your life if you genuinely just hate your own body. And apart from the like really hard body dysmorphia, also only feeling like shitty and like ugly in your body is also like a huge impact in your life. Like we also see that in like women who are like really unhappy with their body and stuff like this. Like it's impacting mental health seriously. And yeah. So now you have to get a new therapist, Pandas, now. Do you already have like anybody in mind or anything? Or can your old therapist maybe like send you like a recommendation letter for like another therapist so you get help sooner or something? And can get that indication sooner? Intelligent, she looked disappointed. Yeah, well, I personally would see it as a compliment, and a really good one at that. Because I usually don't get much credit for being intelligent. It's just sort of like the way of the women. But we also know that like there's actually been a study made that apparently like women who are intelligent are less dateable to men. So I guess in that sense, it could sort of like be disappointing to her, like, oh no, I'm still too intelligent. Nobody's gonna date me or something. Or that she doesn't want to be perceived as like a boss babe. Because apparently there's also like negativity around like boss babes and like, oh, nobody wants to date like a boss babe. Well, I feel like nobody wants to date a boss babe. Like, oh my god. No way. Like I see that. But like I see a lot of men who don't want to date a boss babe. But like if you look at a boss babe and you like genuinely, if you feel confident in yourself, like I feel like dating a boss babe can sometimes be challenging, but it's like they're gonna pull you up. They're gonna literally make you more intelligent. A boss babe is just, to me, it's like an intelligent, ambitious, successful woman who takes charge, who's confident. Yeah. Well, there's always like I feel like I feel like usually boss babes can be quite nice, but if they think you're stupid, then they command you around. Because they're just like, okay, like you're not gonna get it done anyway. Like you don't sufficiently in my time get to the conclusion, so I'm just gonna give it to you. Because I wanna be there. I don't really care if you, I don't know, get there on your own or if I need to shove you there, but you know. Yeah. No, I think that makes like a lot of sense as well. I mean, you can always like in these situations, you know, you can always be like, oh, like you look disappointed. Like what did you want to hear? Like did I say anything wrong? You know, like you can always ask for clarification that way. So I feel like being open about the things like the signals you get and sort of like just asking is like a lot of the time really good. Panas, I wanted to ask if it's like sort of basically like every woman, what are you jealous of specifically? Like, are there specific points? Yeah. Even when people ask me what I think about them, like I can only lose in this situation. How can you only lose? Oh, yeah. I'll answer the other question first. Hmm. I feel like for me, when people like ask me, like genuinely, I don't. There's little people who have asked me like what I think about them. But I'm usually the person who like these topics come up sort of if a person feels like if a person has like a bad day, you know, and they seem less confident than usual and sort of maybe I don't know, yeah, they just sort of have a bad day. Um and feel maybe a little bit unsure about themselves or their life or the situation or something. And I don't know, I personally then take specifically these situations to sort of like build them up with what, yeah, well, with what I see in them. And like it's never failed me. I don't know, like the most people like really like my opinion about them, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like I feel like the only people I've ever had like issues with about the opinion on them have been people where I didn't have the best opinion of. Which has been usually men in that situation. Uh but yeah, but I don't think like to like usually men I don't really like, they don't ask me about my opinion because they get that I don't really like I'm not a fan of them. So they wouldn't ask me, I think. Like you don't ask for for a reality check if you know that reality check is not gonna be nice. um so for me it's usually always ever was the situation with yeah, somebody having a bad day and then just sort of like building them up again and being like, hey, you know, like you're a smart, ambitious woman. Like I know, like if anyone's gonna do this, it's you, and sort of stuff like this, and then it just never fails. But it's also like a biased situation, right? Because it's like, like that person that moment feels shit about themselves, so it's like, I guess it's sort of like easy to make a good compliment. Relationship thinking, be it platonic or romantic. I mean, I know that I can be honest with most of my friends, doesn't matter of male or female, but with outside people, I think it's kind of hard for me. Yeah, definitely. I mean, with outside people, it's just sort of like you need to find out what they sort of like how they tick. And communication is still like less efficient with them as well because they don't know your style of communication that well, and you don't know their style of communication that well. That's why usually like talking to strangers is just like less efficient than with friends. Except there is like a lack of certain communication in a friendship. So classical example of this is the like two dudes not being able to talk about feelings. Like they're best friends, they could be like they could understand each other like really well on other topics, where if they would talk to a stranger, they would have to explain it way more in detail and stuff like this to be understood. But then for example with emotions, it's way easier to talk to a stranger than talk to their friend, because there's like a lack of this communication style between them. And then on top of that is the pressure that they are friends. So that's how in this specific case then the communication is worse, I think. But like, yeah, generally, definitely it's easier to talk to friends, especially if it's about like an honest opinion. Yeah. Yeah, this is exactly it. Like finding the right words is basically adapting to their communication style. Because everybody, even if you speak the one language, everybody, even if you speak the same language, has a different style of communication, like a different word pattern and stuff like this. So essentially, if you have a friend, you unconsciously and sometimes consciously study their communication pattern, and you will adjust to each other. This is why we, for example, pick up phrases from our friends and stuff like this. Like we pick up jokes from them, or just like their favorite word, and then we say it as well. This is because we adapt to each other. This is how like our communication with friends is then more efficient, because we know how they interpret specific words and how we need to say something so they take it in the right way. But yeah, this only happens if like this happens low-key subconsciously, but at the same time it only happens with people who do have sort of like, or it happens really well with people who have a concept of how do I say this? Essentially like taking responsibility for the other person understanding. Because I feel like some people don't get the concept of, to communicate well, to be a person who has great communication skills, it doesn't mean so much that you know like a lot of words, that you have read a lot of books and stuff like this. But it more so means that you know how you need to tell someone something so they actually get what you mean. Like it's sort of like it's actually seeing people, getting people, and then of course having like a skill in the language so that it's like not holding you back. Like you need to know enough words that you can make it work when you've got how you need to explain a person something. And then I think you have really great communication skills. But yeah, like great about communication skills is not about you communicating, it's about you being understood. At least that's sort of the definition for me. Because I feel like you can communicate all day, but if you're not understood, then like you don't really communicate. It's like you send but nobody receives. Like how is that communication? So to me it's usually about like you need to make sure the other person receives it in the way you wanted it to. And then it's like thumbs up communication. This is why usually actually talking to people over share is easier, I feel like. Like sometimes it can go like, you can get like absolutely sidetracked, but I feel like usually it's easier to like meet strangers or like to talk to strangers where you don't know the communication pattern then if they overshare, because they're probably gonna explain it to you like 3 times in 3 different ways. And like not directly, but sort of like giving you the situation, but then like giving you more context and more context, so you can sort of like, you will figure it out. Versus with people you don't know who use little words, well, if those words fail, then there's no understanding. I don't know, then the communication is lost. So, but sometimes there's some people who actually get lost by using more words. So it's really, you sort of need to figure out the person in front of you. I'm usually like really bad at using less words. Because I can sometimes use less words, but if it's a person who doesn't really communicate too well with a lot of words, the situation usually is that you need to use a low amount of words with like all the meaning. And well, essentially, I just don't think they can take a lot at once. This is why I don't really match with them too well, because I would need to stop the conversation when I'm not finished. And that can be really frustrating because I'm in that moment, I'm like in the conversation and I like want to make like all these points and like, you know, all these connections. And they're basically like, I would need to pause the conversation after the first point to give them time to like properly process. And if you don't do that, you just sort of overwhelm them. But it's like so hard to stop because you're like, okay, you've gotten this, but there's so much else you actually need to know. And if there's no like, I feel like it would be easier if it's like a person when you know, like, okay, you see them like every week. Like, if you don't tell them now, you can just tell them next week, whatever. But if it's a stranger, it's like usually you want to give that thing you talk to them about. You want to give them the complete picture in that very specific session. And if they then can't really take that much input at once, it's I don't really know how to fix that. I think it's just sort of like a mismatch of yeah, I don't know, energy, whatever. It's just sort of like there's people who like think less or like who think slower, and there's people who think like really fast. And I think I work well with people who can keep the pace. And I think I just don't work well with people who can't keep the pace, but need to, I don't know, just need more time. Because it's not like, I'm not trying to say that they're like, it's a difference between like stupid and smart people. Because I feel like some of those people who use like very like little amount of words and who process like slow and can't take too much at once, they sometimes just think sort of like they need to think in their own context about things, and they sometimes like think the same amount, but they need to sort of like think for themselves. Like they can't they can't subscribe to someone else talking about this, but they really need to grasp it in their own context, sort of. So it doesn't mean that they're like that they get it less or something, but I leave that conversation with the feeling of like that person did not understand what I was saying, and that person leaves the conversation with I did not understand what this person was saying. She said way too much. So yeah. Yeah. I feel like you just make sure, right? Like if you explain it one way, that person might get it. But if you explain the same thing in two different ways, the chance is double. That's why, yeah, I feel like it's there's just like people who fit well with you and your communication style, and people who don't. And I think that that's sort of just people who don't really. Yeah. I feel like sometimes you just need to find the right people instead of trying to prepare persons who don't match well for to be able to take it. But well, sometimes we just sort of change, and then it's like you gotta make it work. Okay, coming back to the jealousy. Honestly, I think it's like a you are jealous of what you can't have situation. Like it's not just something that came up like a month ago or something, but something that has kind of always been there. I don't think it's like particularly something like, oh, I'm jealous of great hair or something like that, but more like I wish I had these starting conditions, I guess. I don't know, it's hard to explain. No, I think I get it actually. Like this makes a lot of sense, right? Like you're jealous that I have the experience of just being a woman. I don't have to go to a therapist to get an indication to then go through all of these hormone changes with that, all this stuff. I don't have to be like I'm not perceived as trans if I go outside. I don't have to deal with this whole bullshit. Because I think like what essentially like this is like I understand it from the perspective of like you never asked for this. Like, you never asked to be born, and then you chose to be like the rebel, and you chose to be like to protest gender norms and stuff like this. You were born, and you just don't feel like a guy, you just feel like a girl, and that's like not on you, right? So like, I guess that's how the jealousy on me makes sense, because or like on women in general, because like, I'm a woman like you, but you had it easy, you know? Like, you just started a woman and I started a guy. Like, I want to have started a woman. Like, I don't want to go through this whole bureaucracy bullshit, talk to these bullshit people, have to sort of like explain others why I'm actually a woman, why I actually think I'm a woman, why I actually think I've always been a woman, like why I'm actually a real woman and not just a half woman or whatever. Like, I don't, like, you've been put in this place without any like like, you didn't choose to be like to be an activist, but now you are, sort of like this kind of thing. Is it like this? Like, the is that the sort of the jealousy, maybe? I think my tea is actually gone bad. And every time I drink it, I feel like, this doesn't taste right. But I'm so annoyed. I just wanted to be here with this like ready cup of tea, and now I also put milk inside, even though I knew it's probably gonna be bad. So now I feel bad that I wasted the milk, and I feel like I should drink it, but like, tea goes. Yeah, I actually I don't really know either. The milk hasn't been in there. Like, it's gone bad without the milk. Like, I put it in afterwards. But yeah, I don't really know how tea goes bad. But to me, I don't know. Like, it's sometimes even molding. Like, I don't really understand why that happens. It's just that there's like a super large group that, even though they might have to experience their living solely based on their identity, can basically live the life you wanted to live without having to face repercussions for it. Or to have to go through shit to get there will experience repercussions for it, especially in the political climate coming up. Most importantly, been too afraid to live like you wanted to because of the fear of experiencing the said repercussions. Yeah, that's essentially sort of what I mean. But I absolutely get it. I'm honestly like, I'm really like, I didn't think of this before when you like told me that you were jealous of women, and I feel like a little bit stupid now, actually, because this makes like so much sense. It's honestly, sometimes it's low-key, like sometimes I'm jealous of like men that way, because I'm like, I didn't ask to be objectified, you know? Like, if I could choose, I would just like hang my body with tits and all in the like closet, and I would just be a genderless person, you know? Well, like, you can't, like, why does it matter if I'm a woman, how intelligent I can be? Like, how can you accept certain behavior from like a man, but for me now I'm arrogant, like now I'm I don't know, like irrational and something like this. I think it's so annoying, especially because I think maybe because I'm autistic, I notice these things easier. Like, I notice how people behave different around men and women in more detail, I think. Or I'm just not able to like push it away in my head and be like, oh, it's fine, because I'm like, I see the pattern and I can't look away. And it's it's honestly, it's so annoying, because to a certain point it makes me hate that I'm a woman. It's like, I can't even, like, sometimes it honestly, it keeps me from enjoying that I'm a woman. And it's like, no, I don't want to wear skirts. I don't want to have to deal if somebody is filming up my skirt or not. I don't want to have to deal with like an old guy looking at me weird because I like, you know, like look pretty. And I don't know, like genuinely also with stream, I usually wear stuff which is like has no boobs at all. Because I'm like, I don't want to have to deal with it. I don't want to have to deal with this whole bullshit. And it's honestly, it's like really annoying because even around friends, a lot of the time, if the topic of feminism comes up, I'm a woman and they're a man. And if I then complain about a certain problem I encounter where I know it's different because I'm a woman at that moment, they can't just listen to it and be like, that sucks. But they always get like personally offended by it. Where I'm like, this is, get over yourself. Like, shut the fuck up, get over yourself. Like, you want to be there for me as a woman? Like, you want to be there for me? Then you need to be able to listen to me complain about sexism I receive, I encounter, I live through, and just give me emotional support. Because what you lack in that moment is like, because it's not about like the issue I have, but what actually essentially happens is that you are a friend where I can't be open to, where I have a few topics where I won't get emotional support from you. This is a bad friendship. This is a lower quality friendship. If you want to be a good friend, you like a really, really good friend, like the best friend, you need to be able to give me emotional support around any topic. No matter your ego. Like, put it in a closet. It doesn't matter right now. It's like, what matters right now is that I'm a friend and I need emotional support. And if you're caught up in your ego, it's just like, okay. So apparently you're a man first and not a friend first. And that's really, really annoying. And that's really annoying, especially because you find it. I have literally. I'm not sure if I have any male friend where I can properly complain about sexism without having to baby their emotions. And I know they're not bad people. And most of them are like low-key feminists sometimes as well, but it still stands between us. And it's really sad because it makes you isolated as a woman with the female experience. It makes you isolated as a human with the female experience. Because you just wanted to talk to your friend. You didn't ask to talk to a man specifically. So this is like, I don't know, like I personally think it's really, really annoying. Because it's like let's see it from a third perspective, right? Like sexism sucks. And I feel like it doesn't matter in which direction, but like sexism sucks ass. Like racism does, like any discrimination does. And of course you want to be able to just like go to your friend and like rant about it. And be like, damn, like the other day, I like this person behaved that way just because blah, blah, blah. It's so annoying. I kid you not. Like, I'm so fed up with these people. And you want to talk to them because they're just, you know, they're your friend. And then you just, but are you like, sure, like maybe it was just because you said it this in this way. Maybe it was just because you like, you know, you do come across like a little bit confident. Like usually they just don't believe you though with sexism. Where it's like, I know the difference And honestly, like, you as a friend, I'm not asking you to, you know, play judge. I'm not asking you to throw that other person in jail or to make any social repercussions. You know, like, what is the cost of just accepting my reality in that moment and just being like, man, that sucks? You know, there's no cost to it. But it always is perceived as like, oh no, I can't. Like, only if it's really like 100% correct and proved and you have a whole study about this, then okay. But otherwise, no, impossible. And I think that's really sad, because that's not the point of it all. Hi, Killer Pie. How you doing? Welcome. I'm bad at giving emotional support though. Like, I will listen to your problems, even if they might annoy me. But my solution often doesn't really suit an emotional level, I guess. Emotional support essentially actually is not giving a solution. Like, this is what, like, there's like different kinds of support people need from you, right? Like, some people, like some friends come to you, they explain to you a situation and they want guidance, right? They want you to essentially give them like an opinion, like give them like an idea on what they could do. And they want to know like what they might have forgotten, what they can do, you know? Like, they essentially want like a second person's opinion to what would you do in my situation. But then there's the other emotional support where they just want to be seen. They know it's not something you can fix. They don't even expect you to fix it. Like, if I rant to a friend about sexism I go through, I don't expect them to fix it. Like, it's not something they can fix. And they don't need to give me a solution. And I think possibly actually because of this, because we get this wrong a lot of the time, what a friend is actually wanting from us in that moment. And I feel like these whole things of like, oh, just cover up more, or just, you know, like, don't go outside alone. These are guidance approaches to a topic which can't be fixed. But it's like, we don't know what to do in that moment. We don't know how to properly offer emotional support. So we try to fix that problem of the other person, even though it's nothing they can fix, you know, or you can easily fix. Emotional support oftentimes can just be, especially with things you can't fix, like I just said, is listening to that person and feeling what they feel. They want you to see what they feel. They want to be understood. And what it offers in that moment is that you yourself can get a little bit, you get sort of like reassurance. And that offers you safety. Because for a lot of the people who actually went through something like sexism, or like other things which are just unfair, but we can't really do anything about it, people ask for basically like a reality check in that moment, like low-key. Like, they don't want you to like openly give a reality check, but what we essentially do in that moment is like, this and this happened, I feel like this, am I crazy? Like, is this okay? And I feel like this is like, a lot of the time this happens because we shame emotions a lot. We especially shame negative emotions. We shame the feeling of like feeling something is unfair, especially if it's about like a bigger system or like a bigger institution. Oh, sorry, the post. I think this is my crochet yarn. Ah! I bet it is. I hope it's everything. I don't know if it's everything. Anyway, which topic were we at? But yeah, so because we shame emotions so much, and because we shame especially the feeling of like something is unfair, in this, if an institution or system is unfair, we don't really we don't want to accept it, because if we live in a society where, for example, the law is not protecting us, if we live in a society where, for example, the most hardworking person doesn't get the highest paying job, if we live in an unfair society, that would leave us with the feeling of like deep unsafety. And this is natural. Like, it's natural to try to keep that away, because it would hurt your worldview so much. And a lot of the time, because we want to keep that away, and because our media is sort of low-key making propaganda, and not low-key, actually, like, not really low-key, making propaganda for capitalism, and for this whole idea about, like, if you work hard, you know, you get the best job, if you, like, you can achieve anything depending on your work, like, sort of like we maintain this idea that it's like the system is like fair and square, and it just depends on how much you put into it. And we shame people, like, talk about the system like, oh yeah, and it's so unfair and you just don't get anywhere. We shame them because it's like, if we were to acknowledge that as a reality, then why would people basically like sacrifice their life for an office job? Choose to not see, like, to not do as much with their children. Choose to work instead of taking your parent off time. You know, like, why would people sacrifice so much to work if they didn't know it would pay off? And so we really try to keep this lie of capitalism being fair alive. And I feel like because it's so ingrained in our society today, it's something we, in that moment, we just don't notice how we turn to exactly these questions as well. How we question our friend if they have actually done enough. Maybe, you know, like business is not only about this and that. Like, I see that you did a lot here, but you need to know this is actually not unfair, because business is also about having good relationships to people and stuff, you know? And there's also actually a study where people tested and found out that we actually move goalposts a lot of the time. So for people applying for a job, for example, in the beginning, they had like a certain stat block of what the person who wants to be employed needs to offer to be like the perfect fit. And we noticed how the people who offered that job actually changed those criteria while they were already taking applicants to fit the applicant they actually wanted to have in that job. So, and in that specific case, it was, the difference was between men and women. And we noticed how the criteria at the beginning changed to fit the male applicant instead of the female applicant. So we don't want to say that we're sexist. We try to behave like we really want to believe in the fair system nowadays, but we're still biased. And I think in the emotional support we can offer, these insecurities really show. Because it's the same insecurities which show with, like, it's the same mechanism, sort of, how insecurities with our kids show. And how we just sort of irrationally blow up sometimes, and how we put images and expectations on our kids which they never had and they never wanted to had. And how, for example, people sort of maintain the cycle of their parents to their kids. And what we can try to do to actually confront this and get out of this is really try to confront those insecurities. Like, if we really find out what we're insecure about, because like nobody likes to talk about insecurities. Nobody likes to find out how they are themselves not fair, how they are themselves biased. Nobody likes to confront these like really uncomfortable truths about themselves, and how we are, for example, still influenced by our parents, how we have some topics where we are a little bit irrational because it's not only this moment which is on the scale, but it's actually also our childhood or an experience we had before which is also tipping the scale in that moment. And if we do try to confront them, and we don't need to fix them, we just need to be aware of them, actually. Because once we are aware of them, in that moment, we can acknowledge and we have the chance, actually, to notice what we are scared about in that moment. We have the chance to notice that, for example, if our kid has been fired again from another job and is still living at home with 25, then we might be scared to be socially judged by others, by other parents, as a bad parent. That we might be scared that our child will never have the future we envisioned and that we have failed as a parent. That we have not raised a kid who will be independent and can really like provide for themselves, but that we raised a kid which needs help the entire time, which is societally bad. So that we're bad parents, and we don't want to acknowledge that. So that's why we try to correct it. But there's so much more on the scale in that moment. And that's why we're not able to actually find the best solution. But we use the answers and questions we have gotten from society for ages to also question and answer to our child in that moment, which is, for example, shaming that they don't do enough. And telling them that the system is fair and they just need to work harder. And we say this with more and more sort of meaning to it because there's so much on the scale for us, because there's our own insecurity on the scale, which isn't about the child in that moment. Because if it were about the child, then we would act concerned. We would act sad. We would act worried. We would go to the child and sort of like when a little kid like hit its head, like we would act like this, like, oh my god, are you fine? Like, does it hurt? Is it okay? We would make sure they're okay, you know. But we don't act like this. We're like this hard wall, which is shaming our kid for like, yeah, well, you just need to work harder. We're giving like these easy answers, which absolutely fail the reality of this kid in that moment. And well, since we grew up with this, if we don't face these insecurities, we will give them on to our children and to our friends as well, to any close relationship we have in our lives. And that's also why before therapy, I was, and even still now, I'm sometimes a shitty friend. It sucks to say that. But yes, there are some topics where I can't stay impartial. Where it's not the best to ask me. Because there will be more on the scale. But because I know this, I can now communicate this. I can communicate it because before I just bash the head of my friend, I can just tell him like, oh, bro, like this topic, because I've gone through like specifically this and that situation, this is really close to heart for me. Like, I'm not fine with this because this matches up with the experience I had. And I can't stay impartial on this. And if we communicate this, then the friend can also already like sort of acknowledge like, okay, maybe I'm not gonna ask her on this. Like, she's not a bad person, like she wants to be there for me. But this is just like a really emotional and sensitive topic for her. And that's why she can't be there for me, because this is fine. Like, we can't be there for our friends for everything, and this is fine, because otherwise we wouldn't need therapists, right? Like, our friends could just go to like any other friend and get like the therapy they want. But in essence, we have limitations. We as friends have limitations. And this is why emotional support is actually not that hard than we think. Like, you say your own, like, I'm so bad at emotional support. And I don't want to like take that away from you. I think if that's your perception, I think you are. And I will believe you on this, but it's not something you can't change. Like, it's something where, for example, you can really try to find out like, okay, what am I insecure about in these moments? What do I feel in those moments? Like, do I have stress from somewhere? Which memory is maybe attached to that stress? What am I worried about? What am I scared about in that moment? And that's sort of like mostly how you find these insecurities, which are weighing on you in that moment. Which can also, for example, like a very classical thing, again, is the person who's depressed. But
森永、電子顕微鏡貸してくんない？うちの研究室の壊れちまって。
あ、いいよ。さっきそこにしまったから。
冷蔵庫に？あった。お前なんでこんなとこにしまってんの？
さあ。
さあじゃないよ。お前さ、最近変だぞ。悩み事でもあるのか？
ああ、いや、別に。
ならいいけど。おっと、ついでにこの牛乳もらってもいい？
いいけど、賞味期限が。
大丈夫だよ、ちょっとぐらい。じゃあ、電子顕微鏡と牛乳もらってくからな。
ああ、知らないぞ。腹壊しても。賞味期限か。恋にも賞味期限ってあると思います？あるとしたらどれくらいの期間なんだろうか。俺の名前は森永哲弘。名古屋にある大学の農学部で大学院生ってのをやってる。学問が好きだから修士課程へ進んだのかって。確かにバイオの最先端技術を探求したかったんだけど、本当はもっと別な理由があった。それはあの怒鳴り声は。
森永！
先輩、どうしたんです？血相変えて。
あのニュースは本当か？
あのニュース？
そうだ、あれだ、アメリカの。
ああ、もしかしてサンフランシスコの？
それだ。どうなっとるんだ。サンフランシスコで同性の結婚が認められただと？同性の結婚を認めるとは何事だ。
先輩、苦しいって。
巴がアメリカに渡った途端こんなことに。アメリカ、恐ろしい国だ。まさか巴が黒川と結婚するとか言い出した。
先輩、大げさですよ。まだそこまで考えなくても。
何か？ホモがこの俺に寄ってたかってワールドワイドな嫌がらせか？
ああ、先輩、それ被害妄想ひどすぎですから。
うるさい！
あたって何するんですか？
ホモは連帯責任だ。とりあえずお前を殴っとく。
あってマジ痛いっすよ。
うるさい！アメリカめ、余計なことをしよって。
この理不尽にも俺の頭をパコパコ殴る乱暴者の名は辰巳総一。俺と同じ学部の2年先輩で、今年の春から博士課程へと進んでいる。そう、つまり俺が就職せず大学に残る理由はこの人の存在なわけで。
俺はホモが大嫌いだ。
先輩はこの世でホモが最も嫌いだと断言してはばからない人で、なおかつ乱暴者でわがまま、さらに鼻持ちならないブラコンで、とにかく一言で言えば人格破綻者。でも俺はなぜかそんな先輩に恋をしてしまった。この果てしなく報われなさそうな俺の不毛な片思いはついに5年目に突入しようとしている。
ありえへん。ほんまありえへんわ。5年も片思いやなんて。
だよな。
せやけどけったいな人に惚れたもんやね。
確かにけったいかもしれない。あれは確か俺がまだ2年の冬のこと。先輩、辰巳先輩ってば。
なんだお前。
もう2年の森永じゃないですか。いい加減覚えてくださいよ。
知らんもんは知らん。なんかよか。
今から飲みに行くんですけど、先輩も一緒にどうですか？
せっかくだがやめとく。レポートがあるんだ。
また振られた。俺は大学に入学してすぐに恋に落ちた。寡黙で学者肌、あっさりとした顔に細身の体、それにあの星、超タイプ。でもしばらくすると 先輩が寡黙なのは不愛想ってだけで、学者肌なのは欠落人間なだけであることに気づくことになった。しかしそれはそれ、恋は恋だ。そんなある日のこと。先輩、何読んでるんですか？お、毒薬全集ですか？えらくマニアックなの読んでますね。先輩の講座ってそういうのもやるんですか？あ、そういや、こないだテレビで製薬特集見たけど、すんげえ面白かった。あ、すみません、読書の邪魔するつもりでは。
先週オンエアされた特番か。
え？
俺が見逃したやつだ。
それビデオに撮りましたよ。よかったら貸しますけど。
ありがたいが、今うちのビデオ壊れてるから。
じゃあ俺の下宿に見に来ませんか？学校からすぐだし。
いいのか？
どうぞどうぞ。早速今夜にでも。やったー！いきなり自宅にご招待ゲーッと。俺はあの時心の中で涙を流し拳を握った。しかし
今夜は遅くなるからまたにしよう。三好助教授に手伝い頼まれたから9時過ぎるだろうし。い
いいですよ、俺裏門で待ってますから。
そうか、悪いな。
いえ、そんな。
ところがお前、なんて名前だっけ？
もう森永です。先輩は俺の名前をなかなか覚えてくれなかった。でもそんなことは些細なこと。あの先輩が俺ん家に来てくれるんだ。俺はワクワクしながら大学の裏門で待っていた。ところが先輩は9時10分になっても20分になっても現れなかった。そりゃそうだ、研究室であんなことがあったんだから。
よし先生、何すんですか？冗談はやめてくださいよ。やめろよ。まさかあんた。
そうだよ、前からずっとこういう機会を待っとったんだよ。なあ、いいだろ辰巳君。
冗談じゃねえ。俺はそんな趣味ねえんだよ。
いいのかい？君は来年私の講座で修士に進みたいんだろう。そうなると私は君の担当助教授になるわけだし、それでも抵抗するつもりかい？
このゲス野郎。
この野郎、さっさと先輩の上からどきやがれ。もう一発このパイプ椅子をお見舞いされたいか？
お前
先輩、様子を見に来てよかった。
なんだね君は。
2年の森永だ、覚えとけ。
足毛にするのはやめたまえ。
偉そうな口を聞くな、この犯罪者。
どけ森永。
先輩、何持ってんですか？
見た通り、いつも実験で使ってるハサミだ。そりゃもう抜群の切れ味だぞ。
危ない、そんなもの。
辰巳君、何をするつもりだ？
先輩、刃物はヤバいです。事件になります、事件に。
お前は黙ってろ。いや外したか？
外してませんよ。ケツにぐっさり、それはもう深々としっかり刺さっちゃってます。早く救急車を。
おばんでいい。俺はこいつのあそこをちょん切ってスライスしねえ
と。ごめんなさい。
すまねえんだよ。二度と使えねえようにしてやら。
もうしません、許してくれ。
先輩、落ち着いて。幸い三好助教授の怪我は大したことはなく、警察沙汰にはならなかった。でもあの事件がきっかけで先輩はホモが嫌いになってしまった。マジで心の底から嫌悪し軽蔑している。まあの事件のおかげで先輩にとって頼れる後輩のポジションをゲットしたわけだけどね。
へえ、そんなことがあったん。
それからだよ。先輩の研究の助手をさせてもらえるようになったのは、大学のキャンパスでこっそりと先輩の姿を見つめていた頃に比べたら天国のようなものさ。
ほんまいじらしい恋やわ。せやけど先輩にミサを立ててろくに遊ぶこともせえへんやろ。いくらエンゼル君って呼ばれてるから言うて、このままほんまに天使になってもうたらどないするん？なあ、心身の健康のためにも一回くらい僕としといたらええのに。
別に俺 ミサを立ててるわけじゃないし。てか、俺のことエンゼル君って呼ぶの、ヒロト君だけだから。
ええやん。森永のエンゼルやもん。このあだ名、嫌やの？
いや、まあいいけど。でも、先輩の扱いにはいい加減慣れてるつもりだったんだけど、ここんとこずっと荒れてて、ちょっと困ってるんだ。
ああ、確か弟さんが留学してもうたんやったっけ？
留学っつうか、頭のいい子だからアメリカのベンチャー企業に引き抜かれたんだけどね。大したもんだよ、大学1年にして。
先輩が荒れている理由はそれ？
まあね。ブラコンの先輩は弟さんの巴くんのことを溺愛していた。父親が仕事柄留守がちで、母親はすでに他界してたから、先輩は巴くんにとって親代わりのような存在だった。そんな巴くんによりにもよって
黒川さん、僕黒川さんのこと。
辰巳君、俺も君のことが大好きだよ。君のためなら日々の平穏を捨てられるよ。
最愛の恋人は男だった。しかも二人は手に手を取ってアメリカへ行ってしまったのがこの春のことだ。
そりゃショックやわ。大嫌いなゲイに可愛い弟さんを取られてしもうたんやもん。
あれ以来ますますゲイに対する憎しみと偏見が深まっちゃって、俺に対しても風当たりがきついのなんの。
お気の毒様。
たまんないよ。
な、今日はそんなエンゼル君のためにあげたいもんがあんねん。
え、何突然。誕生日でもないのに。
そういうんやなくてまあごちゃごちゃ言わんと、ちょっとついてきいや。更衣室のロッカーに置いてるし。じゃーん、これなんだ？
え、普通のミニボトルに見えるけど。
瓶はそうやけど中身はちゃうでこの中身はな、どんな不干渉でもトロトロになっちゃうお薬や。
え、そう。いわゆるセックスドラッグってやつ。
せや、プレゼントや。
ああ、そんなのいらないよ。てか何に使うんだよ。
そんなん決まってるやんか。
まさか先輩に？冗談じゃない。あの人に無理やりそんなの使った日には後でどんな目に遭わされるか。
まあまあ、何も無理やりせえなんて言うてへんがな。だってその人ホモが大嫌いって言う割には、エンゼル君がゲイやって分かってからもなんやかやと頼ってくんねやろ。
頼ってくるっつうか、雑用も含めていろいろとやらされてるっつうか。
僕が思うに素直になられへんだけとちゃうんかなーって。
いや、それは確実に違うと思うよ。ヒロト君、あの人のことよく知らないから。
何ごちゃごちゃ言うとるん。5年も膠着状態の恋にはこれくらいのきっかけがちょうどええんや。人の行為は素直に受け取るもんやで。
いらないって。てか大体そんな得体の知れない薬使って人体に害があったらどうすんだよ。
ああ、それは大丈夫。ちゃんと自分で試したしな。
え、そうなの？あ、で、どんな感じだった？
いや、そんなもう言わさんで。いやわ。
そんなにすごいんだ。
ハロー。
遅い。巴、何してた？
あれ？兄さん？
そうだ。とっとと電話に出んか、このバカモン。
何言ってんの？こっちは日本と違ってまだ朝の5時だよ。もう、で、どうしたの？
お前、例のニュース聞いて浮かれたりしてないだろうな。
ニュース？何それ？
何って、サンフランシスコの。なんだ、知らないのか？
誰からこんなに朝早く。
あ、 黒川さん、起こしちゃった？ごめんなさい。そうだ、最近シスコで何か大きなニュースってありましたっけ？
あれのことかな。同性の結婚が認められたっていう。もしもし。
そうなんですか。知らなかった。
辰巳君、このところ忙しかったからね。
おい、その声は黒川。
でも
もしもし。
ずっと言おうと思ってたからちょうどよかった。辰巳君、近いうちに俺と一緒にサンフランシスコへ行ってくれる？辰巳君。
こら！俺を無視して何しとんじゃ！
黒川さん。
おい黒川、今度会ったらタダじゃおかねえからな。つうか、この電話料金お前に請求してやる！
おはようございます。
森永
先輩、目が血走ってますよ。
アメリカを黒川ごと滅ぼしたいんだが、どうすればいいかな。ゲートその両三国にふさわしいし、
完全に切れちゃってる。
許せん黒川の野郎。さすがの俺もアメリカまでは簡単に行けないと思って好き放題しやがって。
本当にそうですよね。今夜は飲みましょうね。
森永、俺のこの血の涙が見えんのか。こうなったら俺がカリフォルニアの州知事になってホモの結婚を中止にしてやる。
無理ですから、落ち着いてください。本当とことん付き合いますからね。もう落ち着いて。先輩と出会って5年目。こういう妄想はもう何度したか分かりませんが、やっちまったよ。今日のこれは現実なんです。衣装を描いた方がいいかも。
あれ、メガネどこ置いたっけ？
メガネここに。どうぞ。
森永、昨日は世話になったな。
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
この腰がガクガクする。
あれまだ薬が残ってます？
おかげさまで薬のせいじゃないようだぞ、この腰の痛みは。
変だな。俺かなり丁寧にほぐしたんだけど。
てめえ抜け抜けと全然反省してねえな。
こんなに反省してるのに。
それじゃあ一つ俺の頼み事を聞いてもらおう。台所から包丁を持ってこい。
そんな願い事を聞くわけには。
そうか。じゃあこのビール瓶、これをこうして よーし、こっち来い。
命だけは勘弁してください。
問答無用。この手を離せ。
ちょっと待ってくださいよ。俺ばっかり一方的に悪いんですか？先輩だって無神経でしたよ。
何？
俺の気持ちは知ってるくせに、いつも俺の前で油断しすぎてた。挙句に昨日みたいな姿見せられて、耐えられるはずないでしょ。
うるせえ。俺はお前を信用してた。
違う。先輩のは信用じゃない。先輩は俺を見くびってただけだ。
なんだと？この…出てけ！出て行きやがれ！
俺の部屋ですけど。
うるさい！しばらく顔を見せるな！
わかりました。じゃあ、俺は今日のところは大学に行ってます。誰かが実験の続きをやらなくちゃいけないし、先輩はその様子じゃ、今日はとても大学には行けないでしょう。俺が帰ってくるまでにいなくなっててくださいね。
あの野郎、むちゃくちゃしやがって。ちくしょう！
何もかもめちゃくちゃだ。
辰巳です。
こんばんは。かなこちゃん、久しぶり。
あれ、森永さん、久しぶり。
先輩は帰ってる？
うん、帰ってるけど具合が悪いからってずっと寝てるんだよ。どうしたのかな？
そう、話せそうなら代わってほしいんだけど。
うん、大丈夫と思うよ。ちょっと待っててね。兄さん、森永さんから電話。
切れ。
え、
いいから切れ。
どうしたの？森永さん、今の聞こえた？
うん。じゃあさ、悪いんだけど先輩に伝えてくれる？
わかった。兄さん、森永さんが何もかもかな子に伝言することになるけどいいですかって言ってるよ。
風出りゃいいんだろ。何の用だよ。
体大丈夫かなと思って。
加害者のくせに殊勝なことだな。別に心配してくれなくてもいい。そんな要件なら切るぞ。
待ってください。要件は研究室のことです。だってあんた、俺の顔見たくないんでしょ？とりあえず来られるようになるまでは、俺が代わりに実験こなしときますけど。
やらんでいい。ほっとけ。
だって、A倍値の頃に死滅してもいいんですか？せっかくあそこまで増やしたのに。
しかし。
やらせてください。先輩が研究室に来る頃には、俺、顔出さないようにしますから。そのために聞いてんです。いつ頃、大学の方に出てこれます？
週明けには行くと思う。
週明けですね。わかりました。
もう用は済んだな。じゃ
あ、先輩待って！もう一つだけ。
なんだ？
先輩、俺はね、あなたが考えてるよりずっと、多分、かなりずっと、あなたのことが好きなんです。本気で、あんたのためなら何でもできると思ってる。傷つけるつもりはなかった。それだけ分かってほしくて、本当にすみませんでした。先輩？なんで俺はあの時耐えられなかったんだろう。でも仕方ない。だって今もこうして電話で声を聞いていただけで抱きしめたくなる。好きで好きで好きで好きでたまらないんだから。やっぱりこうなるしかなかったんだ。
兄さん、起きて。朝だよ。今日から学校行くんだよね。体もう大丈夫でしょ？
もう月曜か。
起きてよ。かな子もそろそろ出ないと学校遅刻するから。ダメだよ、森永さんと喧嘩しちゃ。血は喧嘩で大学サボるなんて、かな子妹として恥ずかしいよ。
お前のその誤解を解くには、兄さんどうしたらいいのかな。あの野郎、来てないか。そりゃ来てねえよな。顔見せんなっつったの俺だし。来ても殴るし。さてと、あんにゃろ、俺の実験ちゃんと世話してたんだろうな。お、ちゃんとやってるな。セレウス菌も摂取しているし。検出して相関関係を調べるとするか。こっちのシャーレは森永が実験している培地か。どうするんだ。ほっとくつもりなのか。俺や森永は大学でバイオを学んでいる。培地とは微生物や生物組織を培養するとき、その生育する素材となって必要な栄養素の供給源となるものだ。だからほったらかしにしておけば当然研究対象は死んでしまうわけだがあいつの実験なんか知るか。自業自得だ。ところが3日経っても4日経っても森永は研究室に現れなかった。くそ、あいつの培地なんか放っておきたいのにこのままじゃ死んでしまう。森永の実験は確か動物細胞用の無血性培養だったよな。なんで俺があいつの実験の世話までしてんだ。くそ、頭きた。こうなったらこの溶液とこれとこれも入れてやれ。よーし、できた。この溶液を森永にたった 10mg 盛るだけで奴は3日3晩生死の境をさまようことになるだろうああ、やっぱ毒の調合はいい。癒される。俺もあいつに一服盛られたし、お互い様だ。
辰巳先輩。
失礼します。
先輩、どうしたんですか？
先輩、今何か後ろに隠しませんでした？
いや、何も。やばい。俺が毒の調合なんかしていたことがバレたら退学もんだ。いかん。ちょっと調子に乗りすぎたな。なんだ、突然入ってきて。
はい。森永が今週全くゼミに出てこないんですけど、何か聞いてませんか？
いや。
おかしいな。携帯も繋がらないし、ちょっと心配でアパートにも行ったんですが、いないんですよ。
何か心当たりはありませんか？
研究室に顔を出すなとは言ったが、学校に来るなとは言っていないぞ。何考えてるんだ、あいつ。まさか。
先輩、どこ行くんですか？
学生から。
すいません、大学証明書一部お願いします。
休学届が出てる。
修士課程の森永哲弘君だろ。先週書類を提出しに来たよ。
やっぱり前科があるからもしかしてと思ったら、やっぱりか。容易に大学を辞めるとか、すぐそんなこと考えやがって。根性なしが。
君、彼の友達なんだろ？
ほう。
実はね、最初は退学するって聞かなくてね。なんかかなり思い詰めた様子だったから、とにかくなだめて、とりあえず休学にしておくことを勧めたんだ。君友達ならちょっと相談に乗ってあげたらどうかな。
あ、バカ。顔を見せんなってのは姿を消せってことじゃないぞ。あの時だってそうじゃないか。お前が俺に告白した1年前も。 お前、修士の試験受けないつもりか？
ええ、まあ。
なんでだ？大学院に進むって言ってただろ。お前就職活動だってしてないのに。それとも、どこか別の大学に編入したいのか？
そうじゃないんです。
じゃあ、何か他に理由があるのか？
俺、辛くって。俺、先輩のそばにいるの、辛くって。
はあ？
先輩のこと、好きなんです。ゲイなんですよ。俺。
突然あんなこと言いやがって。弟の巴は男に走るし、俺はたまんねえよ。でも、情報案を出してやってよな。聞かなかったことにしてやると。ところがお前はなんつった？
安心してください。俺、学校辞めますから。
はあ？なんだと？なんでお前はそう極端に走るんだ？別に大学辞めることはないだろ。お前が言ったこと忘れてやるって言ってるだろうが。
忘れるって、どういうことですか？今まで通り何一つ変わらずにいられるってそういうことですか？じゃあ先輩は、今までみたいに気軽に俺に接することができますか？入学してから4年、本当に真剣に好きだったから、忘れてうまくやるなんて、俺無理です。
お前、やることが極端なんだよ。今日も帰ってないか。いなくなったと分かった日から、俺は何度か森永のアパートを訪ねたが、あいつは、今日もいなかった。
先輩、森永から連絡ありました？
いや。
そうですか。私たちもあちこち心当たりを当たってるんですけど、全然手がかりなくって。
さっき森永の実家にも電話をかけてみたんだが、親御さんが言うには、ここ数年あいつからの連絡はないそうだ。
そういえばあいつ、実家とは折り合いが悪いようなことを言っていたな。
そうなのか？
先輩は他に思いつくところありませんか？
いや、心当たりなんて全然ない。
じゃあ先輩、何かあったら教えてください。行こうか、高木。
うん、そうね。じゃあ失礼します。
ああ。お前は心配してくれる友達が多いんだな。俺はともかくあいつらには連絡してやれよ。
先輩は他に思いつくところありませんか？
あの子なんてお前のこと好きなんじゃないのか？ホモなんてやめて、ああいうこと付き合ってみりゃいいのに。くそ、なんでこんなにイライラするんだ。森永が失踪してから2週間、俺はこうしてアパートの様子を見に行くことしかできないほど、あいつのことを何も知らなかったんだと思い知らされていた。そして研究中もあいつを気にしてイラついている自分をいい加減アホだとも思った。そろそろ警察に届けた方がいいんだろうか。
ねえ、あれ
どれ？
ちょっと、嘘したいじゃない？
どれよ。
ほら、あそこ。
どれ？あれ？マネキンじゃねえの？ゴミだよ、ゴミ。
あれ、そう？
死体なわけねえべ、バカ。
脅かすな、このバカっぷり。
お前大丈夫か？
くそ、チキショー。なんでだよ。連絡くらいしてこいよ。あんなことされたんだから腹は立ってるよ。だけど何も絶縁するって言ってないし。あれ、俺はあいつのこと絶縁するつもりはなかった。
先輩、あの実験の失敗許してくださいよ。 今度うまい味噌カツおごりますから。
名古屋人だからといって皆味噌カツが好きだとは限らんぞ。
好きでしょ。あ、待ってください。いい加減許してください。先輩、どこ行くんですか？
俺が怒るとあいつが謝って、まあしばらく経ったらぼちぼち許してやると犬みたいに喜び勇んでついてくる。今までずっとそんなパターンだった。俺は今回もそれでよかったっていうのか。
はい。というわけで、恋する暴君、ただいま収録が終わりました。お疲れ様でございました。
お疲れ様でした。
はい。ということで、まあ、長かったですね。ね。そんなわけで、今回熱演してくださった皆様に一言ずつ感想をいただきたいと思います。まずはですね、ヒロト役の平川大輔さん。
はーい。
よろしく。
はい。ヒロト役の平川大輔です。
はい。
お疲れ様でした。
じゃあ、
今日はね。
今日だってさ、関西弁やで。
そうだよ。
ね。
中部新潟出身が頑張りましたよ、関西弁。
だって関西弁で直されるってほとんどなかったもんね。
そうだね。そう。知り合いの関西の方に吹き込んでもらって、
音で
テ
ープに
それずーっと聞いてきたの。
偉い。
もうね。でもなんだろう、その人はこうお芝居をしてるわけではないじゃない、他の。
まあそうだ
ね、中身を読んでるわけじゃないから、それでお芝居した時にどうなっちゃうんだろうとかって思ったんだけど、なんとかね、OK が出たんでよかったです。
いや、よかったですよ。すごいやりやすかったです。
ありがとう。とっても嬉しい。
さすがため年。
もうね。
昭和48年で。
48年組ですよ。
32ですよ。まあね、どうでしたか？あと、その他になんか。
今日はですね、なんかもうずっとトリちゃんと緑川さんのところが多かったでしょ。だから、
ぼんやりしてたの？ロビーで。
とんでもない。ちゃんと台本読んでましたよ。
本当に？
湿気だにゃー。出来上がりを楽しみにしつつですね、あとは僕の関西弁がどういうふうに入っているのか。
いや、完璧ですよ。
いや。期待して、8月20日ですか？
8月20日です。
待ちたいと思います。
はい。じゃあどうもお疲れ様でした。
お疲れ様でした。
はい。続きまして、黒川さん、杉田さん、よろしく。
お疲れ様です。黒川光役杉田とんかつです。
はい。お疲れちゃん。
前番組が終わって駆けつけ収録で黒川が駆けつけきれなかったって。
そうね。杉田がいねーって。
なんだこの低たらく。道が工事中だったから。夜道が暗くて分からなかったから。
でも高校としてたでしょ、道は。
光の道をたどって、僕はこの場所にたどり着くことができなかったんです。
逆方向に行ってしまったのね。
かなり。
今日の感想は、本編の方、あんまりね、なかったけど。
そうですね。でも、仲のいい2人っていうのは、まあ、例えば男同士であっても、こう、羨ましい光景だなと思いながら、で、概要をこう、聞き耳を立てていただけると、なんか、いろいろ入ってるので、その辺をこう、聞いていただけると嬉しいなと思います。
生き生きとした感じでね。
はい。すいません。お疲れ様でした。
はい、お疲れ様でした。はい、続きまして、智也役、宮田さん。
はい、智也役の、辰巳智也役の宮田幸喜です。お疲れ様でした。
お疲れ様でした。
ですね、今日、ちょっと杉田君に文句を言って。
お、何ですか？どんどん言っちゃってください。
昨日現場一緒で、まずいつけ麺屋があるよって聞いて、
行ったんです
昨日都内某所で、その後用事があったので、そこに行きました。今日朝、お腹壊しました。
まずいから？
メールしようと思って杉田君に。でも、電話番号は知ってても、メアド知らなかった。
あら！
今日言おうと思って、 でもちょっと話す暇なかったら今ここでフリートークの場で。
後で交換してください、メアドをね。
あ、ね。
アドレスがまた華やかになりますね。ラジオ番組で、アドレス帳の100何番の人に電話をかける。そんな100番以上僕ありますね。信じらんねえ。決められた記憶があるんですよ。ちょっと少ないね。
じゃあ僕何十何番かに。
多分おそらく、はい。お、やった
ビクトリー。
ビクトリー。
そう。でも味はね、まあ、
そこそこ。ただ、お腹に来る。
お腹に来ちゃった。
どうですか
今日ね、出番少なかったんです。
そうですね。
もっと喋りたかったです。
あら。
はい。
安倍さんに、じゃあ、
ね。ちょっと多分ね、電話だからね、声もね、加工されちゃうと思うんですよ。だから、こう、耳をね、こう、聞き耳を立てて聞いてもらいたい。
あとはガヤとかね。
そうですね。
どっかでもしかしたらリンクしてるかもしれない。
もしかしたら。
なんかね、ありますからね。
はい。あるかもしれません。はい。ありがとうございました。
はい、お疲れ様でした。はい。そして続きましては、辰巳総一役、緑川さんです。
はい。お疲れ様でした。
お疲れ様でした。お疲れ様です。
本当に疲れましたね。
ですね。
しょっぱなから叫んでましたからね。
第一声叫びですもんね。
せめてもの救いは、まあどっちかっていうと、これが受けじゃない？
そうですね。
けど、モノローグがなくてよかったなっていう。
そうなんですよね。普通、モノローグって結構受けの人なんですよね。
そう。
なんで俺久しぶりの攻めなのにモノローグもついてる。
でもあんまり、
精神的にはでもこっちが受けみたいな。
トリム軍のが受け。
ペタレ攻めみたいな。
そういうのあるんだ。
いや、わかんないです。今作りました。
新鮮で面白かったけど、実際にやるのは辛いなって。そうそう、客観的に、面白そうじゃんって思うんだけど、やると辛いね。
難しかったですね。
でも10以上下が全力で怒ってる芝居っていうのはきついね。
そっか、俺もでも23歳とかの役だから、俺も32ですから。ああ、
そんなに怒っちゃダメだよ、本当に。
ダメ。
本当にね。
大変でしたね。
大変ですよね。
じゃあ僕ね、名乗るの忘れてましたね。本日司会進行のとかね。司会進行も務めております、森永哲弘役の鳥海康介です。
はい。俺言ったっけ、緑川光です。
言ってます。大丈夫です。でも初めてなんですよね、こうやって絡みであるのって。
嘘。
しかも僕はせんべいでっていう。
せんべい？
僕はせんべいじゃないんですけど、僕が攻めで。
そう。
多分そっちの方初対決ですよ。共演はね、よくあれなんですよ。
そっか。
初対決ですよ、そういう意味で。
もう全然なんか意識してなかった。
まあよくお会いしますけどね。
別にでもやりやすいので。
僕もすごい気持ちよかったです。
でも本当頑張りましたよ。
はい。もう大変でしたね。
ぜひこの頑張りを聞いていただきたいな。
こんだけ頑張ったんですから、もうぜひね、皆さんに聞いていただきたいなと思います。はい。
お疲れ様でした。
本当にお疲れ様でした。はい。というわけで、恋する暴君、この辺でフリートークを締めたいと思います。本当に皆さんお疲れ様でした。さよなら。
Doesn't want to show it. If you're depressed and a person, like, it's no coincidence that if you're depressed, like, feeling numb is a very classical thing. And not only the feeling of numbness, but also not being able to properly give emotional support and being a shitty friend. Because if any person comes to you in that moment and talks to you about like negative situations and like how they feel like really bad about themselves and how the world is pissing them off and like really like topics where you yourself have similar feelings, it's gonna bring up those feelings. And especially if you're depressed, there's a high chance that you suppress those feelings and try to keep these feelings suppressed at all times. You don't want to feel them. And a lot of the time it has to do with the fear of feeling like they're gonna overwhelm you and you can't deal with them. But it's specifically this is making you a shitty friend at that moment, because what they want is they want to feel seen. They want to see that you feel what they feel. And if you can't feel what they feel, because you need to suppress those emotions, because you don't have the space for them and you might feel overwhelmed by them, or that you do feel what they feel, but you are actually overwhelmed from them, and you don't have space for them anymore, then you can't give emotional support in that moment. And sometimes this can still end up well. If you communicate how you feel overwhelmed, if you communicate that you have exactly this fear, like you can actually use those feelings to tell them how much you understand them. Because this hits home to you. But you need to be able to feel those emotions in that moment. Because we naturally don't believe people who don't feel the things we feel. Like if somebody is running out of a building on fire and there's like a person going towards that building or like standing close to that building and you tell them like, oh my god, the building is on fire, like run, whatever. And that person's just saying like, okay. You don't think they get it because you don't see that they reciprocate your emotions. And this is sort of like the same mechanism around emotional support. Like the emotional support, the person needs to see that you feel their emotions. And you don't need to be overwhelmed by them, but you need to be able to feel them. And I think if you can do that and still be there for that person, while like just feeling these emotions, just being like, but I'm here for you and we are going to be able to do this. And it's going to be fine. And when you, for example, can give like a little bit of guidance even, but in like a soft form where you're like, I've been there too. Like last year I was really, really depressed and I thought the world is about to end, but it didn't. And I feel your pain, but it's going to be fine. It can get better. And I'm going to help you because I see you. Then this is really good emotional support. But there needs to be some type of empathetic resonance. Did the tea bags got wet before and so they mold? No, the tea wasn't molding before, so I made tea. I made lots of tea. And then I just let it stand there. And now it tastes odd. Because like in my opinion, that person who's asking this basically wanting to hear something specific and is not really interested in my honest opinion. I don't know, it depends. There's some people who do ask it as like a reality check. But it definitely depends. The person that asked me about them obviously wasn't content with the answer, even though it had a positive connotation in my opinion. Maybe. Like, they definitely, like, yeah, they weren't content, but I'm not sure that they didn't like didn't like what was said, but maybe it just wasn't, like, enough, sort of, like, maybe there was something missing they liked to hear. Maybe it was more like also sort of, like, trying to test the ground if none of them actually likes them and stuff like this, you know? And they were disappointed that it was more like a professional answer. Like, there's many different reasons why, and that's why we need to just ask. We need to just be open about it and speak up. Just need to, like, tell the other person, like, oh, you seem disappointed. Like, it's like, do you want to hear something else? You know, we can show that insecurity, and it's gonna make the communication better. Now, Bye, Panda. I think you're probably already gone. But in hindsight, which is 2020, wait, what? I don't know if she wanted some kind of confirmation. Her appearance from me, which would really baffle me, but I have people who told me that she behaves different around me. You can just ask. You can also still ask. Like, if it happened in 2020, okay, maybe not still. But like, if it's like a week ago or something, and it's still on your mind, like you can like, technically, even if it's 5 years later, if it's still on your mind, you can still ask. It's like, it's no big deal to ask for clarification. I can run really fast. What do you mean? What? I don't understand what? No. There was scissors here, and now they're gone. Okay, anyways then. Ah. Look at this purple. I'm not good at talking to people, especially if other people set a bug in my mind that they are interested in me or like me. Just as a work thing is I'm always extra careful for I land on some kind of list. I can understand, but you can still like you can just articulate what you saw, right? Like you can say like, oh, like you seem disappointed in my answer. Is, you know, like, did you expect something else? Or like, what did you want to hear, you know? You don't need to like answer already with thinking like, oh, they love me. Because that would, I mean, there's also very different explanations for this, right? Well, crochet wool, like yarn, can be anything. But I want to make plushies. I want to make big plushies. So I got really thick yarn. Oh my god! Oh my god, you see how it's shining? It's literally shining in my face. Can you see this? This is light. You can't tell me our world is magic if yarn is like, can do this. Our world is seriously magical. Like, you can't... Excuse me? Even this one... Look at this. See how blue it is? Like, oh my god. Even this one. It's basically, it's casting a shadow, basically. Loki, you see that? Damn. This is so cool. I'm a little bit underwhelmed by the orange, though. I don't know if you can see, but it doesn't look like this on camera. Like, it doesn't look like this in real life, like it does on camera. But the idea is, I have red, I have orange, I have yellow, I have green, I have blue, and then I have purple. See? And then I can make pride plushies. And not only this, but... no! But not only this, but... I have by pride. And not only this, but... Hehe. Also trans pride. So this is, yeah. Oh, I can't wait, so many. And then I have black for like eyes and stuff like this. But like... Look at these. I am gonna make rainbow plushies. And pride plushies. I cannot wait. Aha. So now I need to store them somewhere because technically I wanted to make this shelf already done, but I didn't. Like you can clearly see, I didn't. Now I need to put them in my cupboard drawer. I mean, this is not gonna fit. No, it doesn't fit, guys. It doesn't fit. Okay, maybe. Okay, so technically this doesn't fit, but I made it fit. Oh my god. I'm so excited. Guys, I want to show you my jellyfish I'm crocheting right now. And then we're gonna come back to mental health. Okay. So it's not done yet. But this is sort of like the idea. Isn't this cool? Oh no, I lost something. But yeah. Like it's gonna be a little bit like more spread out here at the bottom. But yeah, this is my jellyfish. It's gonna get like, this is gonna get like even bigger. But yeah, that's sort of like the idea. Yeah. I really love this. I think this is so cool. But this takes so long, by the way. These ruffles, oh my god. You have no idea. Like the circumference here where I started is around like nearly like 50 stitches. And I had to make 3 stitches in every stitch, so that's like 150 stitches. And then I needed to make a second row, so that's more like 3 stitches in every stitch again. So we're at 450, like we're not at, because I haven't finished yet, I'm only at like half. But that's like 450 stitches. And I might even make it like one bigger, which would then be 1,350 stitches. But I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that. But yeah. This is so cool, right? Oh no. But yeah. So we have a lot of thingies here. This is one of them. This is the other one. This one's actually like seriously a bit tight. But anyways, one of those. And this one, also 2-colored. I don't know if that's able to be seen, but it's 2-colored. And then we have blue and some more of those. And then one more of this one. And then we have one of these. This one is also 2-colored. Can you see? Yes. I'm gonna maybe make a bit more. I think I'm gonna put them in the drawer. It's fine. Made them fit. I mean, I could, but there's also social anxiety, and I'm probably not going to see her again unless the stars align in an extraterrestrial event, which only comes around every 1K years. I mean, you don't need to, of course. But just keep it in mind for next time then. That just, I don't know, I had really like a few great outcomes from just asking that person in that moment that like the body signals I see, sort of. And just asking them what's up. Because there's a lot of people who just need like this tiny nudge to open up. They sort of like, they only need the to feel that they're seen, you know? And then that's enough for them to open up. So yeah. But there's lots of different wool. You just saw some of the wool I have. Like this one, for example, is like way thinner. But even this one is already like thick wool. Like there's some which is like way thinner. Just like a normal, really normal yarn, essentially. Guys, do you want to talk about something specific? Or is there anybody else who wants to take part in the mental health check-in? Or is there maybe just still need to talk? Actually, nada. You haven't really shared how you feel, do you? You sort of shared how with your back and all, and that your sleep schedule isn't too fine. But not really how you feel. Ooh, Needs a lot of adjustments though, okay. But interesting. Actually, we were about to watch the 4th season of Critical Role yesterday. But then we saw it's like only for members of their like YouTube channel. So we then continued the 2nd season instead. Yeah. Okay. I think like maybe they're gonna like make it public like later or something. And then I'm gonna watch it too. I can't wait that like haven't they like published some video about like another animation series of theirs coming out? Oh, that must be amazing though. Like I feel like that's so cute. That must be really fun. Wait, was it 4 a.m.? Jesus Christ. Yeah. But it still takes a bit, right? I thought. And as far as I'm concerned at least. But I saw the trailer on Instagram, I think. Yeah. Sure, I think January. But I'm not sure. But I thought it was like next year. So that's why I think like if it's like December or January, then must be January. Because I thought I saw like 2026. And then I was like, oh damn, okay, it's gonna take a while. Also, I think I've seen that trailer like, I don't know, already like a month ago or something. So when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, yeah. And then like, okay, it's gonna take ages. But yeah. To me today, I still feel exhausted. I feel like I don't know, not really mellow or anything. Well, like I guess like a tiny bit mellow. But just mostly exhausted because of yesterday, because of the protest. How I feel. I would like to say good, but talking with my friends always gives me a lot to think about in good and negative ways. I procrastinate a lot these days, which I really hate. So it's a mixed bag from everything, and I don't know where to start. Will you take time to sort of think all those things through and process them? Because I can imagine when tomorrow already your course starts, even though it's only like twice per week, you still only have like a week of vacation, right? And then you start working again. Like, I feel like maybe the last week of vacation could be like a good week to sort of try to put a system in place which helps you achieve your goals. Like, for example, procrastinating less. or whatever your friends talked about with you. I really want to make a habit out of stuff I clearly don't do, as like often doing. Have you thought about those goals in detail? Because I noticed that a lot of the time when I'm not really doing something or like slagging off in goals, I like, it's not just because I'm not determined or not like driven or whatever, but it's usually either because I'm not standing fully behind it, and I'm sort of like, well, okay, it's one of three things. So the first thing is I don't stand fully behind it. I don't fully believe in it. Like, it's something where like society tells me I should do it, or like somebody else told me I should do it, or I tell myself I should do it, but I don't like fully stand behind it or believe in it. And like, it's something where basically, like, for example, like society told me, like, or I don't know, like, for example, going to the gym. Like, back then it was like a lot of the time it was sort of like, oh yeah, well, I should go to the gym. But it wasn't like I personally have like a goal which I want to achieve. And like, I just wasn't fully behind it. I was like, well, there's like other things I like to do more than this. And like, yeah, I guess I should be like healthy, but like, I don't know. And I feel like it helped me to sort of like redefine, because then back then it was also like a lot combined with the looking like you go to the gym instead of the going to the gym because it's healthy. And now I sort of, because I properly thought about those goals, I could adjust them to goals which I actually want to achieve. For example, go to the gym because I want to be fit and I want to be able to do the things I want to in that spontaneous moment without having to train 6 months up to it, sort of. So that's sort of the first thing that I like. I don't know, I just wasn't fully behind the goals, and it was only this like should. And I just wrote this down so I don't forget. The third thing is getting caught up in coping, sort of. Which is usually like a sort of like can be a combination with the third one. Because the third one is that I'm like actually physically exhausted. Like, I'm not only like physically, like with the gym it like demands physical exhaustion. But that I'm just like exhausted in whatever resource I need for this goal. And that's why I don't achieve it. Because it's just like I don't know, like I'm already done. I can't do this on like many days, and then I don't have the space to do it, so then I don't do it. It's sort of like setting myself up for failure, because I have this goal in mind, but I don't help myself to be in the position to actually achieve it. So for example, it was like with the streams, if I have like Monday and Thursday, the like mental health check-in streams, I still sort of have time to maybe do a podcast on like one day, but I'm not actually sure right now. Like, it could be the case that if I were to make the goal now to like make like a podcast episode, that I don't have the emotional and social sort of like, or I don't know, emotional and spiritual maybe, I don't know, energy to do it while maintaining something I'm doing already. And then either my stream is gonna fall off, or I just won't achieve that goal. And so that's sort of like one of the reasons I just missed many goals, but I wasn't like aware of it. So I was just like beating myself up for not achieving the goal, even though I was in like no position, or like I didn't give myself the position to actually achieve that goal. And the second thing is sort of like getting caught up in coping, which can be connected to being like exhausted, but it doesn't necessarily mean to be exhausted in that specific resource you need to achieve that goal. But I think it's usually sort of like being being exhausted generally. Like if you have like one part of life where you're like really exhausted in that moment, I feel like doing something else and like putting your mind up to something is like just way harder. And especially when I'm like unhappy with something else in my life, which I can't really fix in that moment, then for me it can happen that I just somehow get like caught up in coping. That I, for example, just spend way more time on social media, that I watch too many series, that I game too much, that I like sort of like these things, like these are very common coping things. And that can, for one, be that I'm like exhausted and then it has to do with free, right? But I feel like sometimes it can also just be a sort of like habit, like that I slowly sort of slipped into being on social media way too long. And it's sort of like low-key, like an addictive behavior. So it's like a negative coping thing I do, where the coping thing itself is draining my energy to then do the thing I want to do. So for example, social media always seems like, oh, fun, so many nice videos, blah, blah, blah. But I feel personally, if I spend like a lot of time on social media, I don't have much motivation anymore, or like determination to do anything else. I also feel low-key exhausted, because it's just like so many things. So it's sort of like being overstimulated. And the main thing about like social media and gaming and watching series, or like just consuming any type of content, is that you feel good while doing it, and you only feel bad if you sort of like don't do it and then conflict with not spending the time on something else. Which sort of makes it really hard to connect it to the thing you're doing, because like, I don't know, like noticing that you're, for example, exhausted from social media, I feel like is a really hard thing to actually get, because usually you just, I don't know, you feel like really fun on like a lot of fun on social media, and then you're not on social media anymore, and then you beat yourself up because you have been like lazy all day or whatever, and then you maybe regret being on social media because you haven't like achieved anything. Like possibly that's a connection you make, but you don't really notice how you're exhausted from actually being on social media. But you, like, to me at least, I always felt like, oh, I'm just exhausted in general, it's probably just like a bad time, like maybe I'm just depressed right now. But I didn't get that actually consuming so much content, for example, by social media, for example, by series, for example, by gaming so long, and doing that in a way where I don't do it just to the point where it's fun, but I also sort of like just keep scrolling and just keep playing. Like, even though, for example, I'm tilted the fuck out and I just keep playing, like if I did it to a point where it's like an addiction sort of cycle, where it's like you want to do it, but you don't, like there's negative impacts from it, but you still keep doing it, and it's that cycle that just like repeats and repeats and repeats. That's sort of also something where then I noticed, okay, I don't get anything done. But it's essentially like draining myself through like some kind of addiction, which is like harder to spot because it's anything like related to content where you like get dopamine while doing it, and it's not as like socially negatively connotated. And these are sort of like the things which for me can stand behind it. And I don't know, like essentially what I'm trying to get to is not just, oh, like, oh, do this, whatever, like, change your life, but this is not necessarily something you should, like, I don't know, like, beat yourself up for. Like, I don't know, it's usually for me, it's not just, oh, I'm lazy. And I don't know, like, if you have this, but I had, like, a lot of sort of, like, I blamed myself a lot for not doing things I wanted to do and procrastinating. And I neglected to see the context of why I didn't do those things and why I wasn't able to do those things. Like, I didn't give myself, like, I didn't understand myself, and I didn't try to understand myself either. I was just sort of like, yeah, lazy. You're just like lazy, bad human, whatever. And this sort of like beating yourself up, to me, only made it harder. Because it's basically like in these 3 categories, it's like pushing you more into them. Like if it's because you're exhausted, it like beating yourself up makes you more exhausted. If it's because you wasn't like fully behind it, it's like it's not challenging your reasoning or giving you the space to maybe make a different goal, because that would be the lazy talking, right? And you don't do that. So it also doesn't make you available to this. And then with coping, it's probably going to push you more into coping as well, because it makes you like feel shitty about yourself. And that's sort of like the cycle, which I was pushing myself into. So I just sort of wanted to get to the point, like, please don't. I don't know. I don't know, but yeah, this is exactly like sort of like if you say like, but working on it all is hard, you know, I would like to say I'm comfortable with where I am, but whenever I confront myself with stuff I dislike to do, I easily find a way to swim around it. So I kind of need to make it necessary for me instead of I could do it. Making it necessary is also applying more pressure. Like more pressure is more exhaustion. More pressure is less grace to redefine, like less space to redefine goals. More pressure also pushes into coping and addictions. I don't think beating yourself up is a good way to solve it. And I think it's maybe disconnecting from yourself. Because there's a reason why you don't do them. And I don't know, I don't see it represented in your answers. What I see represented in your answers is a lot of judgment about yourself. And blame. But like, you know, maybe you are in a position where you didn't set yourself up for success and you want something for yourself. Like you want to achieve a goal which in this constellation you have is not sustainably achievable. Or maybe you don't even really like that goal, but it's just something where you feel like you have to do it. For example, could be like for me it was this like lose weight, get fit. like, I wasn't fully behind that because it wasn't really my priority, but I felt like I had to do it. And also with the coping, it's like, with the coping and sort of like addiction or addictive behavior types, it's like, it takes energy to get out of that. And it takes different goals to then be able to achieve other, like your initial goal. Because, for example, that would mean cutting down on social media as a goal first, before trying to achieve that other goal, to sort of like make energy for that other goal. Yeah, I get what you mean. I probably have to evaluate why I want to do things in the first place, or why I want to do them, if it is for me or for other people, for example. Yeah. I think really finding out what you want to do is hard. But it really helps with this, I think. And especially because, like, in the process of trying to like find out what goals you actually want to achieve, if you incorporate a plan sort of how you will achieve them, and sometimes it can help to see this from like a third person perspective. And for example, be like, okay, like what, like if Leah would be here and she would, like, I would tell her, okay, I want to achieve this, this, and this, and sort of like, what would she say is the plan for it? Like, because you need the energy for it. Or like whatever friend of yours, like maybe your friend would tell you like, but you didn't change anything else. Like how, like where are you gonna get the energy for this? You know, like sometimes taking it from that third person, really practical approach, and being like, okay, this is human. Human works like this. Human has this much energy. I want human to achieve these goals. What do I need to do that human achieves these goals? Okay, human needs to, I don't know, like change this goal for that other goal. Human needs to, I don't know, take a cut from that energy expenditure to have energy for this. And like stuff like this, you know? To sort of think about like, actually, like, how are you going to do this without making it hard? You know? Because you just, like, just praying to have more energy and just being like, well, I haven't been able to do it the last 6 months or something, but now I'm just gonna man up and do it. Like, this is toxic. And we do this way too often. We just sort of like beat ourselves up and are like, yeah, but now I'm just gonna have the determination. Just like all of a sudden it changed. You didn't do anything. You didn't change anything. You're literally sort of like making fun of yourself. You're looking down on yourself the last 6 months in that moment. Because the moment you say like, oh, well, but now I'm gonna do my goal. Like, I'm gonna achieve it like just now, you know, like now I'm gonna have the determination. So the last 6 months where you haven't achieved that, but still had that goal, so you didn't have any determination? Were you weak? Were you just stupid? Were you like, why? You know, like if it's now so easy, like you could have easily done it 6 months ago and you didn't. It doesn't show the struggle of actually achieving something and how it can take energy and how apparently something in the constellation didn't work out because otherwise you would have achieved it. I feel like it's so easy. Like we really want to believe that things are easy. And at the same time, we believe in this like grind mindset. But the funny thing is we we have these, for example, fitness influencers who are like, no, like being fit is hard work. You need to show up every day and like do it every day. But they say it in a way where it's like, you just need to put your mind to it. You just have to find the determination. You just have to have the willpower. It's that easy. You just need to decide you go to the gym every day. They don't show that for going to the gym, you have 1.5 hours or 2, whatever, how long you go. You have these less on that day. Like something, you have to sacrifice something. You have lived your life that way, and now you want to have 2 extra hours every day. What will you sacrifice for achieving that other goal? What will you change? Because something will have to change, because you have a limited energy. You have limited time. You have limited money as well. If you, for example, want like a private chef or something, you're probably gonna have to sacrifice something for that. Except you're like super rich or whatever, which, okay, considering the example as private chef is probably the case, but you know what I mean? Like you haven't done a bad job just because you didn't get the results so far. You haven't been lazy. You haven't been just inconsistent and didn't put your mind to it. You haven't been weak. You haven't been, you know, like all these things, like a loser or whatever, like all these things you say to people who don't achieve their goals and get stuck. But you haven't set yourself up for success. Lifting rocks is for losers. What is lifting rocks? On the LAN, we played this little card game where you get questions to get to know each other, and after one of these questions, the whole group looked at me and was like, you know, you shouldn't make yourself so dependent on the opinions of other people. And I was like, oh, yeah. But that's good information to get, even though it hurts. But it's definitely like, to achieve something, it's like, you need to put, you can't neglect what it takes to achieve what you want to achieve. For example, with therapy, it's the same. Like, if you want to achieve to be mentally healthy, you're gonna have to put in the time for therapy. You not only have to put in the time, you have to put in the energy. You need to show up to therapy, and you need to be vulnerable in that moment, be honest, talk about everything. And you're gonna feel like shit after therapy, and then next week you need to come again. And it's something where other things lack in that moment. It's something where you need to change things to change your life. And it's not, I don't know, we can't neglect the effort something takes and just be like, oh, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna run a marathon just like that. No, you need to like actually change your life. You need, all of a sudden now you need to like train running and stuff like this and use time to train running. So maybe it's like 1 day per week, it's less to, I don't know, meet with friends or game or something. And it's like, it's really annoying, but there's only a limited time in your day, and you need to choose and pick what you actually want to do with it, because you can't do it all. And if you don't do that, you can't really judge yourself that things fall off the plate, because there's only this limited time. So you need to prioritize. And if you don't actively prioritize, you're still gonna end up doing some things and not end up doing other things. But it's sort of gonna be like low-key random. So, yeah. How are you, Destroyer? Do you want to take part in a mental health check-in? This was way harder to open than I imagined. But yeah. We always have on Monday and Thursday at 12, or we sort of started with this schedule. We're seeing how it turns out. But we always have mental health check-ins here, and you're welcome to use them to tell us about how you feel. If it's good, then good, and if it's not good, you can also talk to us, and we're here for you, and we listen. Just like when I knew I wanted to do the hike in Norway, I started training for it. During this time, I really didn't participate in a lot of stuff I did otherwise, but I knew what I didn't have the time for everything, so I prioritized my training for that above the other things. Exactly. So you see that you, like, if you decide on something, and if you stand behind it, and if you acknowledge how much it takes to actually do it, and set yourself up for success, by making time to train and stuff like this, you do the things and you don't procrastinate. So it turns out, after all, you're not just lazy and need to start doing the things. But you probably have bad goals. Every time I open these like ginger shots, it's like they smell good. Like this ginger strawberry, like this one especially, this smells so good. And then you taste it, and in the beginning it's like, oh, so fresh and nice. And then 1 second later it's like, oh, ginger so much, oh my god. It's always the same. I don't know. It never turned like normal or anything. I don't like the aftertaste of these shots. You mean the burning sensation in your entire mouth and and neck? Wait, that's not the neck. Throat. Exactly. I was like considering for a second, like, what? As if I don't know this. But yeah, I usually don't drink them the entire time. Because like, yeah, it's not pleasant to drink them. But I do it right now because I feel like now is the time where our bodies need to adjust from like summertime to wintertime. Like it's getting colder. Not only our body, right, but also our minds. Saying this actually reminds me of something, because I was about to say, our minds also need to adjust to it, because we, for example, underdress and just don't wear enough because we underestimate the temperature or the wind or the rain, or we haven't checked for rain because we're not used to it raining the entire time, because we're like, well, we come from summer, like it's not raining the entire time and stuff like this. So this is a huge adjustment. And I feel like because it's such a huge adjustment, so many people get sick. Because just more people like go outside if it's cold with like too little clothes, or, you know, just don't really take the time to give their body proper time to rest, you know, even though there's a lot of change with the temperature and the vitamin D and stuff like this as well. Like getting less vitamin D also makes you more like easier sick and stuff like this. So I don't know, I feel like I'm trying to give myself a little grace and trying to see how much this actually is for my body, because this is, you know, like it takes time to adjust from summer to winter. It's like, and I see it how my mentality needs time to adjust as well. I'm like, oh, it was summer, and there's like, oh my god, it's like shitty weather again. And, you know, like this is how affected my mentality is, because I'm pissed off about all the rain and stuff like this. And I don't even acknowledge how much probably my body is affected by it. And we usually don't do this. We usually just see ourselves as, well, we have a house, and in the house we can make it as warm as we want, and that's why we don't need to care. But we do need to care. Like, this is a big deal. Like, we should really, like, see our bodies for what they are. Like, we can't, we expect so much of them for not, and at the same time, we don't acknowledge the work it takes. It's really insane, I feel like, how we sometimes treat our bodies. I don't know. So this is why now, before I get sick, I just started taking these ginger shots. I started taking vitamin C, stuff like this. And I actually, like, the funny thing is, my grandma knows better. And a lot of older people actually know better about this. Like, they know that at this time of the year, they're most commonly getting sick. They don't want to get sick, especially because so many others get sick as well. That's like elevating the chances insanely much, right? So, but they know this, and they just, like, once the time comes and I feel like, oh, okay, people start getting really sick, they just take vitamin C every few days. They just eat really healthy. They put on, like, really warm clothes, make sure they're not cold, stuff like this. They drink enough. They won't wash hands a little bit more thoroughly, maybe. My grandma, for example, she's taking, like, some homeopathic thing, whatever. And it doesn't really matter if you're, like, a fan of homeopathy, or is that the word in English? I can't imagine, or not. The point is, people do something to actually prevent getting sick because they have gotten to the pattern of this. But I feel like, especially if you're young, nobody talks to you about this actively and explains to you, like, from, like, summer to winter, that change, really exhausting for the body, really exhausting for your psyche, and so many others get sick. Don't wait till you're sick. Buy some ginger shots, take some vitamin C, you know, like, cuddle up warm, do, like, the things you need, which are, like, good for your body, you know? Like, maybe take some extra change clothes outside, so you, like, actually have the right clothes for the weather and stuff like this to not get sick. Like, this is what you do to not get sick. You don't just hope, and then you're like, oh, fuck, man, I'm sick again. But you act preventative. Now, more like the whole ginger on my tongue after the good other taste vanishes. Same with chamomile. 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 Chamomile tea. No, I know what it is, I just can't speak. I like the smell on the first sip, but then it's like, yep, that is chamomile. Damn, okay. I actually started liking it. I hated these type of, like, herbal teas, like these healthy herbal teas back then, but now I actually like them. I got one which has, like, this one plant, Brennnessel, and in English it's called stinging nettle. And I have, like, a combination of, like, stinging nettle with something birch, I think birch flowers or something, I don't know. And I think maybe chamomile. And it's actually really good. I don't know. I started drinking chamomile tea at therapy the entire time. At the beginning, I was drinking, like, a herbal tea, with, like, mint and sweet root. Is it called sweet root? I don't know. And then I went over to no, before that I was at, like, lemon green tea, and yeah, now I'm at chamomile. Mint and fennel. Fennel? Absolutely no. That one's still disgusting. Oh my god. Nah. That's not fine. Like, mint? Yeah, mint, really nice. Like, peppermint, like, sweet root, also really nice, I think. Fennel, no. No. 9. Oh, my whole body gets like goosebumps. But yeah. By the way, I wanted to give you one tip because I personally, I really liked it to actually figure out like proper goals and stuff like this, to really make like an appointment with yourself, essentially, where you're like the manager of your life, you know? You're like a good boss. And then you like take down a paper and you note like what goals you are, and then like you like for this month, and you do this like once per month. And then you like basically like prioritize these goals, like which are the most important, which are less important. And then you're like more likely to do the important things and less likely to just do the like shitty things instead of the important things, because you're like actively making choices here, right? And then you can make like specific goals, because like those goals are then in front of you on paper, right? And I personally, if I have something in front of me on paper, I take it more seriously. Like it's way easier for me to look at the goal and be like, but what is my plan? And if I then only come up with like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna do it, I'm like less able to kid myself with this idea, because I'm more like in like this logical mind where I'm like, okay, so this is, that's a goal. Okay, actually, I'm gonna do them these and these days. What have I been doing in the past like weeks on these days? Like, do I think I'm gonna have the energy for this? Okay, I'm not sure. How could I make sure that I do have the energies on these days? Okay, I'm gonna make this, and that. Like, it makes it easier to be like in that logical space where you don't give yourself bullshit or random things. Yeah. And yeah, just doing it actively with like an appointment where you actually actively think about this is already half of the entire effort. And I noticed that like the more you do this, the easier it actually gets. And at some point you're just like, at the beginning of the month, you're like, okay, actually, like for the next month, I'm gonna have like these two goals come like directly to mind, which I want to do, and then like, okay, and for the third goal, I'm gonna wait, see what the month brings, sort of. Like, it gets like easier to notice which goals are good or bad goals, which goals you actually want to do, to formulate goals which make sense and you stand behind and stuff like this. Good number, by the way, for goals per month is 3 big goals. Because don't like plan your entire time for one certain goal, please. Like, plan that you will be exhausted from doing it one session and then need recovery time, and that you still want to meet friends, that you still want to be able to maybe have like do something spontaneous and stuff like this. Like, having 3 goals per month is that's already good. And having too many is just gonna make it like stressful and unrealistic. And you can always add like more goals, like especially if you make that list with like goals you have generally, because you're probably gonna have like lots of goals right now because you like apparently have procrastinated them or with them. So it's like really easy to add more goals then, and just be like, okay, like this month, these 3 goals, and then when you achieve them, actually, like sometimes just taking a break if you achieve them already is also good, and just being like, hey, actually, like I deserve this, like I can just chill now and play games. But if you don't want to, of course, you can still do other goals. And then you sometimes even get into the situation that you actually just out of free will, not even forcing yourself or like bullying yourself to do it, achieve some of those goals because you're like, actually, you know what? I just feel like doing it right now. But yeah. Okay. This is enough. It's enough. Wow. They really pack a punch, genuinely. Oh my god. But yeah. Oh. It's 125 milliliters. So it is sort of like more, I guess. It's like 25% ginger. So sort of only like, I don't know, like 41, 42 milliliters of pure ginger. Doesn't say how much water it is, so. But yeah. So apparently there's an ad break in process. I don't know if this is true. Twitch is lying to me sometimes. I'm just gonna bring back this shot. I'm gonna throw away the tea and I'm gonna set up a new tea and get myself some new water as well. So I'm just basically gonna refill everything. I would like either like you guys come up with some questions or topics we can talk about afterwards, or I would then just probably do my own mental health check-in and just be like, hey, this is how I felt, and maybe we can like maybe this will offer sort of some topics, and yeah, this is the plan. So if you, of course, yourself, like if there's anybody else who wants to do a mental health check-in, just come forward and start. I'm back in a second. Right. I decided I'm only gonna make 1 cup of tea now, not make multiple anymore. Because apparently I won't drink them until they go bad. That's so annoying. Oh my god, you guys see this, right? There's literally nothing like a hot cup of tea. That's genuinely a bit heavy. It's probably like half a kilo I'm holding in my hand. Okay. So, now that I'm back, is there anybody else who wants to take part in the mental health check-in? Or are there any questions or other topics? Otherwise, I would go in with my own mental health check-in. I'm waiting now. Okay. So apparently none. Okay, so I started before already a little bit that I'm exhausted. It's not necessarily physical, but it's more like, well, I think it is physical, but it's not like that I have like muscle pain. But because I was like on the protest yesterday, I got like, while we were there and while we were walking, I got really, really bad back pain. Like seriously, to the point where we started like going from like bench to bench. And then I always had to sit for like 5 minutes, and then we could go like the next 500 meters, sort of. Like it was really, really bad. And the annoying part was that the trams, they weren't running basically because of the protest. Or in the protest area, they weren't running because of the protest, because there's like so many people and they didn't want like to endanger anyone, right? So they just didn't have any trams running through there. The annoying part was though that they didn't properly have it in their system which trams are running and which aren't running. So at some point we were waiting at a tram station for like, I don't know, like 10 minutes or something, and there was just like, it showed like there's a tram coming, but it was like none coming. And then like when it was like 5 minutes later or something, the tram just like didn't show like it's late anymore, but just was removed sort of from the board. And I feel like just because of that exertion, I'm like, I'm exhausted today, and I want to give my body a little bit, like a little break of pain and back pain and walking and stuff like this. I'm just gonna chill for today. Emotionally, funnily enough, I would have expected the protest to sort of like rather pull me down and bring me in this headspace of like, oh, this is so bad, it's still going on, like everything is, like this world is doomed, sort of, like in a very negative headspace. But it actually didn't. It was really nice, like already in the way there, like on the way there we met some people who were going to the protest as well, and then like sort of like with them we figured out how to get to the protest area, because, well, the trams weren't working, or like weren't going there anymore. And then on the protest itself, it was like so nice to see that there's like so many people, and so many people had like really nice signs. And there was even one person who made like a sort of like a, I'm gonna show you, like a puppet show with like Netanyahu and the Dutch like a Dutch politician. And that was like really, wait, different side. Like that was really cool. Thank you. And yeah, there were like so many nice signs, and there were so many people. There was like this one old woman who literally was walking with like walking sticks, and who was going along with the whole thing. There were so many parents with kids. There were so many like there was like one group who was literally like grannies for peace and stuff like this. Like there were so many people. And there were some people who actually brought, like there were also so many bands. Like there was one band with like trumpets and stuff like this. It was like on the side, all with like, because it was the Rode Line protest, so like everybody was wearing red, or like tried to wear red. And they were like all clothed in red, and then like with their trumpets playing. And then there were some people who literally brought like these big, how's it called? How's it called? I don't even know it in German anymore. Wait, how am I gonna Google? Music instruments. It's drums. Oh my god, yeah, they had this huge drum. This like in front of the chest with like the back strap and everything, like these huge drums. And it was like some people, and the sounds were like really cool, and they were walking the whole protest alongside. And had written, I think, like their own song, like their own protest song, and there were some other musicians who like set up on the street, like on the way when we were going. And so it was like really cool. Like the people really came together, and it was so many people. Like the entire time from the train station to the actual protest square was so many people wearing red. So many. And it was really cool to see how so many people take part in this and are interested in this. And there's also been like dog owners with their dogs, and who wrapped their dog in like a who gave them like a red sort of cape. And I don't know, that was so nice. So emotionally, I'm actually like really happy that we went, and I'm really like, even though like it hurt like hell, especially at the end, I'm just, I don't know, it makes me really hopeful how many we were, that something's gonna change. And like on the evening or next day already, there was actually like published that there's like some Utrecht, from the city of Utrecht, the highest, I don't know, the governor, whatever, is actually changing their behavior, and apparently is helping to boycott Israel. So I don't know, it's like the Netherlands are really mobilizing, and it's really nice. And there were some other Germans as well. That was also really nice. Were apparently like Dutch, German, and like one sign, like one side of their sign was like German, and the other side was Dutch. There were like so many Turkish people actually as well, who used their Turkish flags at like as their like red cape, which was so funny. And I don't know, it was just really nice. There were some people who actually brought like tiny like baby puppets as well, and really like so cool. There was one person who had like a sign which was shaped like like the peace Taube? Pigeon. So cool. And yeah, like people with face paint and just so cool. Like this was at the train station, like we were exiting the train station, and this was like not even the closest train station. And then just on the entire way there were like so many also like so many bikers who were like biking to the protest. There's like on the other side of that like park entry is also like so many people in red. There's like this whole way till there, which was like I think like 2 kilometers to the protest plaza from where we were going. It was like it was full of people. Like, I don't know if you can see this, but there's like so many red people there. But my picture got like really dark actually, I don't know why. So this is how we started going. It's like all the way to the front. And like everybody's wearing red. There were like so many flags and like from people who were living close by in the windows. There was actually one like I think like one doctor's house where the people there were just looking outside and like waving to us and saying the peace sign and everything. Oh, this was so funny. It was like a house where 2 people like always made like they were making like music with like old pots and pans, and the other person you can't see because they're like behind the tree, but the person from this small window, like the entire time we only saw like whenever they were making sounds, we only saw them like sticking their hands out, making the sound, going back, sticking their hands out, which was so funny. But there's like it was so many people. And that was really cool. And then it started raining, but literally like nobody cared. Like everybody had their umbrella and their rain jackets. And that was really, really cool. So that was the protest. I got a little bit off topic here. So like emotionally, I feel like, I don't know, I feel really good about myself. Because we haven't been to a process like in a little while. And we like wanted to go, and then like I was in Germany, so I didn't go, but Zach was going, and like this is now finally like my first protest again. And I don't know, I feel really happy because I don't know, like before you always hear about these things, like you hear these news the entire time, you hear all these bad news. And I feel like the moment you actually take action and you join one of those protests, it's like maybe this protest won't change anything, but at least you sort of did what you could, and that feels I don't know, that feels really good. It's just being on that protest is really like, it's relieving to me that I'm not the only one being bothered by this and thinking that that's not okay. Because I feel like every time when I read such like negative news and see these negative news online, there's like a lot of the time there's like critics and like bad comments and stuff like this. And also just because like nothing is happening, I notice how I lose faith in society in that moment. And I feel like to me it really helps when I then join these protests, because I just regain my faith in society, because I'm like, actually, there's so many people who think this is wrong too, and who think like me. Like, I'm not the only good person or something. And I'm not even one of a very like short list of people who are here. But we're actually so many. And only our government doesn't represent us. Like, there was one singular Israel flag, which was like on some house. But apart from that, there was no protest against this protest. There was no person yelling at us like, oh, you can't say this, or looking at us weird. Like, there were so many people from their windows cheering us on, like chanting with us these like Free Palestine and all these different chants. And it's just, and so many like creative people really put in the work, and so many more people then gave you sort of like more flyers for like other protests, and like like there was even like one politic party who was like, we want to do something against this. And I guess, well, they definitely use it for clout, but at the same time it's like they were there too, you know. And it's just so nice to see that it's not an exception. It's not an exception to be against Palestine and Gaza being bombed. And there's so many who think like us and believe in peace. And it's only the government who sort of hold us back. Like, it's not the entire society. And that just feels really good to know. And I don't know, there's just sort of this like the sense of community in that moment, who like, of all the people who believe in peace and who have high moral standards and who do stand up for what they believe in. It's really nice to know that it's not rare, you know? And that's just, I don't know. Then like whenever I went to a protest, I really felt like my faith in society came back. And the only thing I don't like is that some people don't take part in a protest and then film the protest like, oh my god, look at all these people. Like it's an attraction, you know? This is like the only thing where I'm like, don't see us as circus animals if we're fighting for a good cause, you know? Like, it's okay if you didn't have time for it. It's cool if you think that there's so many people, but I don't know, I really get like an odd feeling if there's this like very specific sense of like, oh my god. Like disbelief and laughter, you know? Like, I don't know, I don't like that combination. And the funny thing was, like, even afterwards, like, because I couldn't instantly go back home because I had that much back pain, we went to like a Takumi ramen restaurant, and we actually, like, in the restaurant there was all of the people were from that protest. Like also in like all the other restaurants we passed, everything was filled to the brim with people wearing red. Like, I don't know, it was like also on the way home, so many people wearing red, so many people from the protest. Like, it really felt like 95% of the people in Amsterdam that day were part of the protest and were there. Like, it really felt like basically all of the people were at the protest. And that was so, so cool. Like, to see these masses was so, so cool. And that's why, I don't know, I really feel like relieved and sort of happy, even though I know it's not over yet. But I feel hopeful, and that makes me happy. But what I did really notice is that, like, it was really loud, and protests are really hard for me. Like, with all these sensory stimuli, it's really, really hard for me. Like, at the beginning of the protest, I went to like an Albert Heijn and I bought like earplugs. And I kept them on for the entire protest and even in the restaurant as well. Because I really noticed how this is like so, so much. And for a little while, I took them out and I really noticed how I got like so, so irritated and so overwhelmed. And I think I shouldn't have done that. I should have just kept them in. And it sort of showed me again that I need to take care of my body to stay in green. Like, it takes effort to stay in green. And I didn't want to like see it. I just thought like, well, it's a protest, like it's gonna be loud, like just, you know. But I couldn't have done it without those earplugs, and I definitely need a solution for situations with this much stimuli. At the same time, I was also better at caring for myself because when I went to the Albert Heijn, I also bought some food. And like sort of like good food or like a nice drink is giving me like energy back. So and I just got like good food and like an energy drink. I got some like sushi and like an onigiri and like a smoothie. And I was like considering to not take it because I felt like, oh no, it's like gonna be like expensive or whatever. And I also was considering to not take the earplugs. But then I still did, and I'm really proud of myself that I did. Because I usually don't really want to spend money on caring for myself, which is stupid. And I try to unlearn that, and it's really nice to just see how I actually do and how I actually am better at caring for myself now. But it was like a really long day, and it was really exhausting. And I don't know, apart from that was the weekend in itself was just a little exhausting. Like, we did like many different things, and there was a lot of stimuli and stuff like this. And I didn't really make too much space for the protest being like, I didn't plan for the protest being full of stimuli, which was like, which I could have done better. Because on Saturday we also went to like a different shop, and it was also like a lot of stimuli. So I feel like what I could have done better is like preparing to have energy on Sunday, and in that sense, like setting myself up for success. But I didn't do that. So yeah. But next time I hopefully will. And yeah. I don't know, apart from this, I'm just sort of like a little bit more irritated these past few days because I'm on my period and I just have pain all the time. And I don't know, but I recognize that, and I sort of like I try to take it easy. And Zach tries to take good care of me. Like the last evenings, he was like super sweet and made me like a tiny fruit platter. Even though sort of like at the beginning it was like hard, and I sort of had to remind him that I do really appreciate some like extra care while I'm on my period and I'm in pain the entire time. Because it's like, I don't know, it's really easy to overlook my needs. Because I'm not really like that aware of my feelings myself, and I also don't really want to talk about or get into my feelings a lot of the time. So I sort of like, I usually tend to just say things once, and then it's like you need to remember that this like still applies the entire time, which I guess for like neurotypical people doesn't really make sense. But yeah, when I say I have like the entire time like I don't know, like stomach pain because of my period, and then I don't act like I have pain anymore, I still have that pain. I just don't really yeah, I don't really show it, I guess. But at the same time I also like, it's not that I just suppress it, but I don't want to concentrate on it. So there's like many things coming together, which makes it a bit frustrating sometimes when because of that I'm not sort of seen. But I'm getting better and better to like advocating for myself in that moment, and being sort of more like noticing more clear what I'm missing and what I need, and articulating that better to then also actually get what I want and need. So I guess all in all, it's sort of like a mix of having like a harder few days just because of period and doing stuff, while at the same time like sort of being content with it. Like I don't really I'm like not mad that it's like tougher. I just like, I understand why and it makes a lot of sense. I'm actually sort of like, I'm a little bit, in a weird way, like these situations really got sort of like better, because I allowed myself to sort of like have grace about these situations. Like I don't need to be strong right now and stuff like this. And I sort of was able to, with that, I don't know, like give me things I look forward to about these situations actually. And like find for ways to like even make those sort of like shitty situations and days where I just don't feel really well, to put them in like a positive light, I guess. And I don't know, I think that makes me sort of feel like emotionally stable, because it's not like all bad. Like I do have pain the entire time right now, which sucks. But at the same time, I just sort of, I really like how I feel like more cozy and more cuddly right now. I like how I just sort of, I baby myself a little bit. Like I get myself like nice snacks and sort of, I'm just like, yeah, you know, like take it easy, just game a little bit, just crochet, just watch some series. Like I don't expect more of myself. And give myself the space, time, and energy to sort of suffer in peace. Which actually makes the suffering not really that bad, because I feel like in a weird way the pain hasn't even been the worst thing usually, but it's more that I don't know, like for me, I really feel like I have a world belief system where I tend to believe, and it's getting better at the moment, but I tend to believe that when I feel pain and I'm gonna voice that I'm in pain, that other people will perceive me as weak. Like they won't have compassion and sort of like baby me to make me feel better, but they will try to use that moment to sort of, yeah, to low-key like oppress me and be like, oh, you're weak now, so I can, I don't know, do whatever. And I don't know, I just really like the space I made for myself. That I make space where I don't feel like there's a threat to this. And I just feel the pain, and I don't need to act strong, and I don't need to act like it's not bothering me. But I just sort of like have grace to like baby myself in that moment. And in a weird way, even if it is myself mostly, but then also Zach, of course, I really enjoy how I care for myself, and also of course how Zach cares for myself, but I also enjoy how I care for myself right now. And I don't know, it's like a little bit, I get like a little bit emotional right now, because I just sort of noticed how I think I'm like sort of like healing my inner self with that, or my inner child. Because I feel like back then there was no space to be weak. And even though while I care for myself, I do have to, well, do the things to take care of myself, which is like usually you mean that somebody else is, I don't know, doing something for you or giving something for you. Right? And that's how they take care of yourself. So they like make you like less work, or make you not have to go into the kitchen yourself and stuff like this. Which is not really the care I can offer myself, right? But the care I can offer myself is that I see how I'm like irritated and sort of sad because I am in pain and stuff like this. And that I'm not harsh to myself, and I don't critique myself for it. But I'm just like, hey, this is okay. And I even go as far to like, I don't know, like buying me like a favorite snack, or like a snack I don't usually buy for myself. And I'm just sort of like for myself deciding like, you know, you deserve this right now. Like this is hard, you know, and you do it anyway. And it's okay to be more irritated because you feel pain. It's very natural, and it's okay to don't want to do something and to not have motivation and to just watch series all day. And on top of doing all that, you can also eat chips and chocolate and whatever. Like, I usually, when I wasn't able to do something, I sort of like restricted myself on other things because I was like, well, if I'm actually not well, then like I'm sick, and being sick shouldn't be fun, sort of. And right now I don't know, I just care for myself, and I don't feel the need to suffer in order to take a break, or to not have fun in order to pause something and to be sick, sort of. But I just see the situation I'm in, and I trust myself that I don't make excuses. I trust myself that I don't get lazy or whatever. But I know that I'm not lazy, and if I don't feel like doing anything, that's because of the pain and because of my hormones, and that's okay. And I'm gonna feel like doing something again, and I don't have to bully myself to get out of that hole, because otherwise I'm gonna be stuck. But I can just sit there and be like, this is fine, we don't need to do anything right now, because it's gonna be over. And I don't have to like scold myself and stuff like this. And I don't know, like, to me this is, I guess, a bigger deal than it's supposed to be. Considering having grace with yourself is something every person should learn. But I'm really glad that I make that process. I'm really proud of it too. And I guess that's why I'm not mad that I have my period right now. Like, it is annoying, definitely, and it does suck. And I mean, if somebody would like ask me if I don't want to have it, I would definitely say yes. But it's not like, it's not a depressing day. It's still a good day. Like, it's genuinely, it's so crazy for me how I noticed that I've achieved something where I thought it might be impossible. And I didn't only think it might be impossible, like, I genuinely didn't even know this is supposed to be life. Like, I didn't even, like, back then when I was a teenager, I didn't think that being emotionally stable is a reality. Like, I thought humans are just emotionally unstable. Like, they have outbursts and they feel like shit, and then this and that, and like, if you're in a shitty position, you're always gonna feel like super shit and stuff like this. But now I'm content. Like, I'm emotionally stable. Like, I genuinely am. Like, this is crazy to me. Like, I don't know, I haven't realized this like this. But I'm emotionally stable. Yeah. This is so odd. This is so odd to notice. But yeah, like therapy actually worked. Like I'm able to set goals and achieve them. I'm emotionally stable even in times where I feel pain, where I don't feel good, where I feel overwhelmed. And if I do feel overwhelmed and I get irritated and I get angry, I'm able to notice that. And I'm able to just be aware and voice that and articulate that directly. I'm able to articulate my inner world and my emotions in that moment directly. And it only took 3 years. Like I thought I would have therapy till I'm 30 or something. I genuinely, when I thought about it, I just thought like till basically the end of my life. This feels so cool. But yeah, so this is my mental health check-in. I think I'm good. I can take care of myself. I can take care of myself in a way where I feel good. I don't bully myself, I don't shame myself, I don't blame myself. I just take care of myself. I just love myself. It's funny because like I thought like I would have to fix all of my issues to be emotionally stable and feel content. And I still know process I want to make and things I want to get better at. But it's like I'm gonna manage, you know, like one thing at a time, sort of. Yeah. Yeah. This was more emotional than I thought. I thought I'm just gonna say what's going on and stuff like this. I don't know, this is exactly why I love mental health and psychology and like deep talks and stuff like this. Because I feel like so many things we're usually not aware of. We're not casually aware of. But like, if you take time and think about them, it's just, you feel so much more clearer than before. And I don't know, I really love that. I'm low-key obsessed with that feeling, maybe. I don't know. It's like, I just really love how there's so much depth to to humans and humanity. Like, I love how complicated we are. I love that it's not just good and bad humans, but that essentially, like, you can low-key understand every human. Like, there's like even some like sociopath killer you can low-key understand. Not in a way of like doing it, of course, but like not in a way of excusing it either. But just there's like, we're so complicated, we're so different, and yet there's a connection between all of us, I think. And not only between all of us, but actually also between humans and any type of animal. And I think that's so, so cool. Because, I don't know, I just love how you can how, funnily enough, complicated surviving is. That it leads us to all these different emotions and logic and reasonings and I don't know. And I love how at the bottom of this is that we all just want to be loved. Because being loved is survival. Like, I absolutely love that at the bottom of all this is that being loved means survival. Like, this whole capitalism BS, all of it low-key doesn't matter. Like, being the best hunter and all of that. But at the root is still, if you're loved, you're gonna survive. And that's for all animals who are born a baby who's being raised by their parents. Oh. So that was my mental health check-in.